The Supernatural Dogshit podcast is controversial and confrontational and may cause offense to some. Listener discretion is advised.
Good evening, one. Good evening, all, and welcome to the Supernatural Dogshit podcast. I'm your host, Aiden Doyle, and tonight we're going to do something a little different. We did it last week or the week before with Richie, which was just myself and himself, and it was very intimate. Which we had intimate music in the background that was happening. You should probably guess by the voice that just came in that we have Daniel, Mr. Woods, in studio tonight. And this has been really foisted upon him in the last half hour, Dan?
Half hour, the usual with you. I have to say, I feel like I'm having my Oprah Winfrey moment.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it going to be the Tom Cruise Oprah Winfrey moment?
No. More kind of like, I don't know, Oprah and like Tina Turner that time.
Oh, I didn't see Tina Turner on it.
Oprah did like a next chapter thing after the show where she did like one-on-one interviews. So I'm having that, or my Pierce Morgan moment, my life story.
I'm actually really interested because I love the Tina Turner story because it's awful as it sounds. You know, the shit that the poor woman went through.
Yeah.
Wasn't The Colour Purple? Was that the name of the movie?
Absolutely not.
No, it wasn't. Was it? No.
No, it was Tina. Or What's Love Got to Do with It? The movie of her life where she was at Ike and it showed like he bet her and raped her.
That's the scene that stuck in my head. I was only a kid when I first watched that movie.
The Colour Purple, oh my God.
What was The Colour Purple?
Just a movie about
so I shouldn't have said that, no?
Really very contrasting movies.
Is this like me referring to Morgan Freeman as Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah, kind of like that.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
I remember watching that movie and I was only a kid, and I remember my mother being in the room and Ike Turner picked Tina up, pulled her underwear down and raped her violently on this kind of studio desktop type of thing.
Yeah, when she was recording music.
And I remember thinking to myself, my God, this woman, she was literally crying and I'm going, wow, this is what rape is. I've heard the word rape so many times. I was only a kid. And my mother didn't turn it off. And I'm thinking in my head, why are you not turning this off? This is awful for a child to watch.
Same PG.
But that's where I got my first look at rape, and I went, my Christ almighty.
Oh, so her story is very powerful and the movie's very powerful, and it's done by Angela Bassett. She played her in it. And
is that who that was?
Yes, that's who played Tina in it.
Angela Bassett is an amazing actress.
She is.
She's in a lot of TV shows. She didn't get big on
American Horror Story recently.
Yes.
She's in like some 911 show. LA
911.
Yeah.
She's amazing. She's a police officer in it.
She is, yeah.
And she is.
Haven't seen it. Disclaimer.
Watch it.
Okay.
You should see it. I tell you why I watch it, because you probably know that at this stage that I'm not an emotional person, but the only way I will get emotional is to live vicariously through others'
emotions.
So when that woman
you're very much an outsider looking in on the rest of us around the world. You're that person the other side of the fishbowl looking into the fishbowl, because the rest of us are in fishbowls basically.
But I actually only made this observation yesterday. I was talking to Richie today and I asked him the question. I said, you know, why are we sentient? What makes us, you know, aware of ourselves? And it's stupid questions, not stupid question, but a question I was asking myself all day. And I was saying to him, we say to ourselves that we are sentient and we are aware, but yet we're more aware of each other than we are of ourselves.
A lot of people aren't aware of themselves, yeah.
Exactly. Because I'm more aware of you in this room right now than I am of myself. Because we get to witness the world. We never get to witness ourselves.
No, thankfully.
But isn't it amazing? Exactly, thankfully. Because when you look at that scene where Tina Turner was raped...
But we're all very self-absorbed, though.
Yes.
So we're very self-absorbed. We're very internal when it comes to taking and wanting everything for ourselves. But then we're not self-aware. So I would say self-awareness is actually not being aware of what you're doing to the others around you.
Which is a huge problem.
Yeah, massive problem.
I had an ex, and I don't want to speak ill of her, but one day I witnessed the most stupid thing that she could have ever done in my eyes, because I thought to myself, how unaware are you to do what you've done? Now, it sounds stupid, but bear with me. Myself and herself were on an escalator in the square in Tala, and she was the person in front of me and we were going down. When we got to the bottom of the escalator, she didn't step to the left or she didn't step to the right or move forward so people could get past her. She stood at the end of the escalator and made her decision on where she wanted to go, which was taking her a considerable amount of time. And I had to walk around her, and then other people were walking around her as well, at this idiot standing in like a barrier or like a cone in the middle of it, going to the left and right. And I'm looking at her going, are you so fucking stupid that you're not realising people are moving out of your way while you're making, your decision?
She's not self-aware of the situation going on around her, and she's just thinking of what she's doing next.
But is that most people, Dan? Or
it is most people. A lot of people, I think me, in the last kind of 5 years of my life, since I came back from Canada, I've discovered that the majority of the people in my life are not self-aware at all. And I was one of them before. I'm not going to sit here being like, oh, I'm perfect. I would have been very much like for those who don't know, I lived in Canada for a few years. I discovered I kind of broke myself down over there a lot. And when I came back, not in a bad
You say break yourself down. What do you mean by that?
Just kind of analyse myself and what I was doing wrong. Because you're in a different culture. So you're moving over to Canadians. They're very more chilled than we are. They're less of a chaotic vibe. Irish people are very chilled, but we're mad into drinking. We're high energy people. They're not very like that. And I didn't at first mix well with that. So it was not in a bad way, but just it was a culture difference.
So you were left with no option but to examine yourself.
To examine myself and be like, what am I doing that is too invasive to people or overpowering or all that kind of thing. It did lose an awful lot of the good aspects of my personality as well, though, because I probably did a bit too much and broke myself down to nothing.
Okay.
And then when I came home, then I noticed instantly the difference in the people who would have been in my world pre-Canada, and the kind of the lack of self-awareness with them, and how I would have been very like that. And then also the fact that when I tried to push
Do you think you were before?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I would have considered myself to be very abrasive. So when I came home then, I had to navigate, and I still think it has to be navigated. Like, I'm 6 years home now and I still think I'm a bit lost.
That's what I was going to say. It's a bit confusing when you, as a person, realise that you should be spatially aware of people around you.
Yeah, but it's boundaries as well. So, like, when I came back from Canada, I had a new set of boundaries for myself that I expected others to follow. They're not like boundaries that are ridiculous or anything, just minor boundaries when it comes to talking about certain topics to do with my life. And I just didn't want to let these people know certain things about me anymore, not in a negative way. Just like mature adults don't need to be filling each other in everything and feeding each other's drama or each other's anxieties. And the trying to recreate those boundaries only caused friction with everyone around me and caused a negative aspect that kind of still is around.
Can you give us an example of that? Because I know
being a bit more private, they thought I was being hidden. Does that make sense? So just kind of choosing not to get on a group chat or get on the phone, and like, don't get me wrong, I've had moments where, especially because I was living in Galway and it wasn't a good place for me, that I did have spurts where I did be like, this is all happening to me. But like, when I initially came back and tried to create these boundaries, being like, I'm in a relationship now, I lived in Canada, I'm living in Galway, you're my friends, you're my family, but you just don't need to, just for me, because I feel like a safer person when the vulnerabilities that I have are to myself.
But what you're basically saying is you were trying to please other people in the way you behaved.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
And I found that can be a complete waste of time at times.
Oh, it is a complete waste of time. And as I said, I'm 6 years in and it has been a waste. It's just caused frictions, it's caused arguments, it's caused rows. It's kind of, the people have villainized me an awful lot. Because I am the instigator of the change, I'll admit that. So, but what happens is when you instigate a change, whether it be a positive or negative one, it causes people to panic. So when they start panicking, they start to overanalyze it. They look at themselves and they think that I'm trying to accuse them of something. So me trying to be more private, me trying to do things for myself, another thing is me not listening to your problems as much because I have my own, I'm not able to take all these problems in, is not me saying anything negative to you. Your problems are real. Your problems are justified, but I just don't need to take them on because I have my own shit show going on here. But they chose to look at it as me being a cunt or a bitch or trying to make them look like they were so they put it on me and he's this and he's that and don't mind, he thinks he's great and he's full of shite, and also the accusation of being fake, that I wasn't this newer realised person. No, I'm no fucking Dalai Lama, but like, that I hadn't emotionally matured over my period of being away.
But you're a critical thinker, would you not say?
Very much so, yeah.
So, and that's what we are lacking in society these days, which is critical thinkers. Because when I look at you, which is Dan, Mr. Woods, you do come across as somebody who thinks for themselves. And the amount of times I've asked you questions and you would give
People
me...
don't like that, but yeah.
But I love that. I fucking adore that. Because when you answer a question, I go, I never thought of it that way, or I've always thought of it that way but never had the courage to say it out loud.
Yeah.
And now that somebody else has said it, it's like what's the guy who made Family Guy? Seth MacFarlane. I love Seth MacFarlane.
Should you just like compare me to being like a Family Guy episode?
Yes, no, to Seth MacFarlane. I'm comparing you to Seth.
I get you.
I tell you why, because my sense of humour and me as a person, when it came to just me growing up as a boy, whether it be either masturbation or my sexuality or how I felt as a kid or whatever it may be, ended up being portrayed in this TV show which was called Family Guy. And I'd never witnessed anybody talking openly or cracking a joke about this stuff. And it was after maybe 5 or 6 episodes, I genuinely sat there and I went, geez, I'm so glad for Seth MacFarlane, because I felt like a weirdo and a stranger my entire life. You know, having these individual monologues in my head, talking about a sexy girl that's walking down the road or whatever it may be. And I thought I was wrong in doing what I was doing. But in watching his stuff, I went, well, he's normalising this. We all think this way.
He's very blunt.
He is.
He's very blunt, which is fine. But he's also not, what I like about it, he's not excusing what's happening. He's not saying that this is right.
No, he's just saying it.
He's just saying, but this happens. You know, he's saying what everyone's thinking, what everyone just won't say, whether it be political correctness or not understanding how to say things properly. So he does do that, which is something that I would do. And
I truly, Dan, I swear to God, I've said it to so many people since I've met you. I said, you want to ask Dan a question and you expect him to be honest with you, because that's where you're going to get. And that's unfortunately how I am. But the problem with honesty, and this is what I spoke to Richie on the last podcast about, the problem with honesty is you can be honest to somebody so much that they think you're joking.
Yeah.
You know, that you're going, look, you're pissing me off, can you just go away? And then the next time they do it and you go, you're pissing me off, can you just go away? And then they go, it's just more of a joke.
We all bullshit each other all the time. That's something that I've never done, which even before people bullshit each other all the time. They feed into each other's bullshit and they feed into their own bullshit. And they feed into this fantasy that they're this or that they're doing something, which is nothing wrong with that. But the problem is it can affect others around them and they don't realise that. So that's where I have a problem then. That's where I have to come in and be my blunt self, being like, you're full of fucking shit. But then of course that's when you're telling someone who is happy in their world, they're happy in this, they are, and they genuinely are happy in it. There's nothing really wrong with that. But when it starts to, when their absolute naivety and complete blindness to what's going on around them starts to affect you, that's where I have a problem. That's where I come up and I start going, full of shit. You're full of shit. And that has been an issue ongoing through my whole life. I don't know where I got it from, because my mother and father wouldn't be very blunt.
No, but see, I think it is a case that you're a critical thinker. But the problem with being a critical thinker is it actually causes depression.
Oh, it does, yeah.
I was walking down by Mojo's one night, and one of the other drivers, who shall remain nameless, was with me, and a guy was walking past the two of us, and he went, "Oh, isn't it a lovely day?" And the other driver went, "Yeah, it's amazing, ha 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 ha." And both laughed at each other, and I stood there witnessing this, and I went, in my head I'm going, they only asked how the weather was. Nobody said anything funny. It wasn't a situation that warranted laughter, but people do this fake laugh all the time. So I made a decision that day. I went, let's laugh only when I find it funny. Okay. It's very fucking awkward.
It is awkward,
It's super awkward.
It fills space. Laughing fills space. It legitimizes statements. It allows you to move on from that moment.
But as you said, everybody's fake.
Yeah, to a certain level, people are.
Down to that degree that we all, how's the weather? It's raining. Oh.
That's a societal thing in Ireland, though. Our society is very, you talk to everyone as you walk down the street. Hello, good morning, you know, all that. That's an Irish society thing, which is actually, it's a negative thing, really, because it's not, as you said, it's not real.
It's not.
It's kind of, it's kind of like this filling sort of an empty space in yourself that doesn't need to be filled, really.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to walk. I have to say hello to every single person. I hate small talk. I fucking hate it. And my boyfriend Mark loves it, because from Galway, there's nothing wrong with it. But there's been situations where I've literally stood in silence, me bump into people in the shop and stuff. He's raging. You're so fucking rude. I'm like, I don't want to talk to Sally about her fucking granny's, auntie's, uncle and what's going on in John's stores. I don't have fucking time for that. It bores me. It's not fair. Like, it's probably mean of me to a certain extent. I will put my hands up and it probably does come across as rude.
But you are that small section of society, again, who's critical thinking. You're standing there and you're critically thinking, I've heard all they're going to say. I don't want to hear about their shopping in Dunn stores. It's unimportant to me, whatever it may be. So you've critically judged that situation.
Yes.
But you're the bad guy now.
I know. I'm the bad guy I wish Sally all the best with her Dunn store shopping. I hope she's a great time. And that's one thing about, I wish everyone in the world to have the best life they possibly can. I just find, because I don't conform to certain social norms, I have been villainized. And look, what can you do? I think I'm learning now as I'm getting older, especially after kind of the recent 12 months that I've had, to let it go. That other people's opinions of me is their problem. That other people not like... Another thing is, we all grew up with this, an Irish thing. Everyone has to like us. Because we all grew up in pubs from the age of 15 to 20, where everyone had to know everyone had to like everyone.
With your packetato and your red lemonade.
Yeah, and everyone took their digital camera pictures and I love you, you love me, and now we walk by each other in the town. It's... because we haven't seen each other in 10 years. So, like, you know... You have to kind of, as I'm getting older, I don't care. I'm starting, and it's only in the last 6 months, and it's a very active thing that I'm doing every day. That if someone doesn't like me, it's okay.
Yeah.
It is totally okay if they don't like me. Because I don't like loads of people.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. If you expect them to like you, then they must expect you to like them. And you can't do that.
Do you like many people, Aiden?
No.
I feel like you're someone who's very picky with who, not in a bad way, you don't go, I find you're very polite and courteous to everybody, and you give everyone a chance. But I feel you only let certain people in.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of those people is you, which we've had long form conversations on many of occasions, where I've told you things about my life, which I haven't told, other people who are longer in my life. It's because I respect the intellectual consistency that's within you. No, I genuinely do.
Yeah.
Because I can sit here and I can talk to somebody else. I would love to name names. And everything's just going over their head. You understand exactly what I'm talking about, that fake laugh walking down by Mojos. You get that. And that is that critical thinking. I'm that very same person. But to me, what that has done is that has made us exiles from society.
To a certain extent, it has.
I asked you and Richie, we've had this on air on the podcast a couple of times, where, why do people think I'm a prick? I'm just saying what I feel or what I think. I'm in that conundrum of, why did you laugh at that guy saying it's nice weather? My thinking is as simple as, if I say a fact, which is, single parent families have less of an opportunity. The children, it's more likely that they'll grow up in crime or misbehaviour. That's just statistics. I didn't make this up. I'm just repeating what I heard from stats. That's not me giving out about single mothers. Just amazing single mothers. My brother is a single father. He's an amazing single father. I'm not giving out about them.
You specifically, because I actually wouldn't think that way when it comes to think about single mothers and all that kind of stuff, because that's not something that I let into my energy, really. I think you, as a media man, you really look into statistics and facts and what's going on in the world and why things happen in the world. I don't look at things like that. And to be fair, I get where you're coming from with we're very analytical thinking. Socially, we're kind of on the outside for how we approach things and how we treat people. But I wouldn't think like that. I think that's because this is getting back to the point where you think everyone thinks you're an asshole. I think the reason why people might think that is because of the certain topics and things you choose to discuss or bring up to people, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
So, I know most people, including me, don't want to be sitting there and suddenly be like, do you know that your child is most likely to be a criminal because you're a single mother? Do you know? Or do you know that abortion this? Or do you know that gay rights that? Or do you know that? And it's kind of like, Aiden, okay, we're not on a podcast at the moment, hon. Do you know? I think that can happen sometimes.
But do you think I do that? Do I go into podcast mode off
I
air?
do think that off mic you do. And you like to challenge people off mic or whatever. And I think that's where that kind of reputation for somebody like, he's a fucking wanker, comes from.
Because I did know of one listener to the Supernatural Dogshit podcast who got in touch with another one of our hosts. Okay. And had told him that she was crying over what I was saying on air. And
that's different because it's on air and you have your opinions on air and you're allowed to talk about these facts and figures on air. Well, I suppose what I'm saying is you don't let the conversation come up naturally.
Okay.
So as in, we could all be sitting here and suddenly the conversation will turn to these topics that are quite, I don't know, dramatic or whatever you want to say. We could be sitting there talking about the weather and suddenly you'll jump in with this thing and then you'll have these conversations because you have to keep going with the conversation. That can be kind of, not intimidating, but irritating to people.
But is it a bad thing?
It's not a bad thing, but it's not a good thing either. It's an Aiden thing.
Okay.
It's an Aiden thing, which is fine. But I know for me, like, it takes a lot of energy to be able to combat a topic as serious as something as what you just said, single mothers and their kids or whatever. And also, some people, like, if you're not a part of that situation, like if you're not a single mother yourself or you weren't reared by a single mother, people won't really have generated an opinion on it. So you're embarrassing them by showing their lack of knowledge. And that can piss people off. Hence, they're like, he's a fucking asshole.
Oh, see, now that's interesting because I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
And it really is that they never looked into it enough to have an opinion on it. But I would simply expect...
It's like me with the abortion episode a few weeks ago. I actually, to be honest, I am pro-choice. That's who I am. But I don't really want to talk about it or in that moment because I'm not a woman. I'm a gay man. I will never be in a situation where someone, either I or someone for me, has to have a termination. So I don't really know much about it. I never looked into it. I don't know the ins and outs of what you actually do when you go to have a termination of pregnancy. I just know that I'm pro-choice because that's who I am. So when someone brings up a conversation, let's talk about abortion, it embarrassed me. It made me awkward because remember I told you I need notice for something, so I can actually look into what it's all about.
Yeah, see, I'm an idiot. Sometimes I forget that people just. That's me not doing critical thinking on your behalf. That's me assuming you are, because you say I'm pro-choice. Then I automatically assume you've done your research, so you know why you're pro-choice.
Yeah, the only reason why I'm pro-choice is because down to my very being is that I believe that women should have the right to do what they want for their own bodies. But I don't know the ins and outs of statistics and facts and how many people have them and how many people have them in America and who doesn't do them and who does. I don't know that because I choose not to look into something so kind of all over the place. Because I think that is an issue that's all over the place.
So is that then selective ignorance?
Maybe it is selective ignorance, or maybe it's just because it's such a big issue and it really doesn't affect me. It does not affect me. I'm a gay man. Abortion does not affect me personally. It doesn't. It really doesn't affect
even
me.
Morally, does it affect you?
No, it doesn't, because it's not for me as a person who's so outside of that situation to have morality in something that has absolutely nothing to do with me.
See, when you say something
like I'm also someone who never plans on having children. I don't want to do surrogacy. I don't want children in any shape or form. I'm not a woman, so I can't get pregnant to have one, and I'm never going to give it to a girl to get her pregnant. So I am so detached from that situation that I don't think it's right for me to have a moral feeling on it.
Well, when you look at the likes
or a kind of a more constructive opinion than the fact that I think that women have a right to their own choice.
But look at the likes of the problems that are going on in Ukraine and African countries where we have opinions, but we're still so detached and removed from it.
Yeah, but that's not their choice. The Ukrainians, their choice was taken from them by the Russians to go in and invade them. So that becomes a humanity issue. Do you know, Africa has so much government and political issues that's why there's problems over there, and that's taking the choice out of their lives. So yes, I'm interested in it. Yes, I want to know about it. Can I help? Does that make sense?
Yeah, but see, now I could really drill down into the whole abortion argument.
We could.
Well, I'm not going to do it because this is more about you and I today.
Okay.
But what I do want to ask you is, Dan, you mentioned the last 12 months has been odd for you.
Yeah.
How's it been? What's happened?
Look, surprise! I organised Mullingar Pride, and I single-handedly for the majority of it, but then I did have a team come in and help towards the end. Created and produced a podcast, created and produced a festival day, a parade, and a human rights organisation in Mullingar. And I learned, lost, and challenged myself a lot.
Was there any point where you literally broke down and went, I can't do this anymore?
No. I got angry a lot.
Okay.
So to kind of like just break this down a bit to people, I lived in Canada, found a boyfriend, moved to Galway, hated Galway. I've had several jobs since Galway. I've been sacked more times than I can count. I'm not fitting back in. Essentially, I'm a queer as fuck person. I moved back to Mullingar because of COVID and financial reasons. And when I came back, I was like, Mullingar is not gay enough for me to survive.
Okay.
So I'm doing Pride. That's how Pride happened. Just so everyone knows. Another thing is, those are criticising me about certain aspects. My Pride wasn't really the traditional Pride. It was essentially to create a space for the gays in Mullingar. And now we're all friends and all connected. We spent the flat together.
Now, when you say
why I did it, this is just a background story.
You said for the gays,
yeah,
or for yourself?
Me, myself included, but we were all disconnected.
Okay.
Why, I don't know. Was it because there was no gay bar, or there was no movement to bring us together? We're all different ages, different backgrounds. Lesbians, gays were different ages, whatever. But that's why I did, before we get off track, that's why Mullingar Pride happened. It wasn't because I suddenly felt gay rights were a massive issue in Mullingar town.
Okay.
It was because I was like, it's just not gay enough. And I know from what I've seen or from what I've heard that the gays are not connected here. We're not connected to each other.
And where have you been in the past where that type of scenario where people are, the gay community are well connected or well represented?
Dublin, London, Manchester, outside the big cities. Because you have your gay bars, you have your gay nights, you have your gay theatre shows, you have your a theatre scene, you have queer culture around you that accidentally brings us all together. So you meet someone in a bar and suddenly you're best friends, or you shag them.
Is it a population issue then?
No, it's not a population issue, it's a space issue.
Okay,
and what I mean by spaces, there was just nowhere in the town for us to have a moment to connect.
And is there many gay people in the town?
Massive. Sure, I had 360 people in my parade.
Oh, nice.
Like, it was huge. Look at the photos online, everybody, when I get Pride. You'll see that there was lots of people at it. And there was a group of, let me just count this now without saying names.
He's counting on his fingers, like a grown-up does.
There was 11 of us
at
the flat in Canton Casey's. Each night we went out, 11 of us, all out. And there was, at one stage, there was, I'm not going to say names, another person from Pride came down and joined us. And about, I'd say over the week, we connected, 20-something of us connected and had a really good time at the flat, which would never have happened without Pride.
Well, you know, the most shocking thing that I found out from meeting you and meeting the gay community within Mullingar, because I've met gay people in Mullingar more of a one-on-one basis, not of a group scenario and how they celebrate and how they live and that type of stuff. But the one stereotype that was smashed for me wasn't a good one.
Well, the one you told me about us all being happy and stuff.
Yes. I genuinely thought...
we are human like everyone else.
Yes, and for me, typical fucking idiot, I just went, gay people are all happy and, you know, they fight and then they shag each other and everything's fucking... Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But that's what I was thinking. Then I witnessed people who were either on the podcast or surrounding in the committee or outside who were just ordinary people giving out about people.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, hold on, these are bitches too.
Well, yeah, but see, in rural Ireland and rural life in general, across the world, outside the cities, what happens to the LGBTQ community is they're isolated from each other because that's what the rural town does them. So, for instance, a group of girls will take on one gay and he will be against the other group. And that kind of happens, if that makes sense. Now, it's not a thing that's done on purpose by the heterosexual community here. It's just kind of the ilk that's where the same problem, in my opinion, comes from. There's only one gay in the village.
So it's involuntary segregation.
So involuntary segregation kind of happens in rural Ireland. That's why I was like, fuck it, we're doing Pride and bring us together and fuck the straights. Not in a bad way. Get the fuck away from us. We're queer people. We like queer culture. You know, it's fine. Like, we all love you. We all still have friends. But that's why I did it. Because I was like, we were all this. It's happened to me when I was a teenager. It also happened to me. I have a very close friend. He's another gay man. We grew up together and we've been pitted against each other from day one by Mullingar, by no one else. And I filled a narrative in the two of us that he fed into more than I did. I don't care if he listens. He did feed into it, where it's him versus me. And that went on for whereas that didn't happen with my other friend. So it wasn't
his fault nor your fault?
No, it was just that the natural kind of environment around us was to pit us off one another. Who's more talented, who's funnier, who's better looking, who dresses better.
So who's the biggest gay?
Yeah, basically. And that... he does realise, I've tried to speak to him about it before, but he doesn't realise that it's caused a very big negative aspect on both our lives, like really. And I think a lot to do with why me and him are not where we should be in our lives is because of that. That there's in this kind of chase and kind of up and down, who will go further, you come back, I go forward. And we both kind of ended up kind of really not where we should be.
So name a big gay city in the world.
San Francisco.
So San Francisco.
Yeah.
Let's say yourself and whoever this other person is.
Yeah.
We're in San Francisco for a year with each other.
There'll be so many of us. There'll be loads of us. There'll be loads of allies. There's people who also to be a fag hag or a gay or a female or a male straight person who's friends with a gay is very different than gay people being friends with each other. So, because we're always the token gay in their life, we're always the token person.
Yes.
And whereas queer people, like we were all equal at the Fla last week. There was no one I was dancing with Beyonce. 2 other people were as well. I had makeup on, so did the other person. There was no moment where we were the token person of that kind of scene.
Do you hate that?
I fucking despise it. And I've fought against it. And I think that's caused issues in my life as well. I lost a friend.
But I done it to you earlier, and I noticed when I done it to you. when you rolled your eyes inside. I said something like a sexual comment,
Yeah.
and you rolled your eyes, and I knew immediately. I went, okay, I'm just after making him the token gay here,
Yeah, no,
and in
that's
my
not
mind
it
I went,
either.
stop doing
that's
that.
That's a small... That was what you... That's not why I roll my eyes. Like, shut up, Aiden. That's why I roll my eyes. It's a bigger issue when it's someone who's in your life all the time. It's a subconscious, accidental segregation and isolation of the gay people in your life.
Which must be hugely depressing.
Hugely depressing. For me, I think other gays don't notice it as much.
Okay.
Because I embrace who I am,
And you're self-aware.
Yes, exactly. So it doesn't. I know that person who I mentioned there, that it doesn't get to him as much as it gets to me. It destroys me the way he doesn't realize that it's actually destroyed me over the years, the way people pitted us off each other, because I felt like I was never allowed my chance.
And do you like him?
I do. I think deep down we're probably the best of friends. I think deep down.
Well, that's sad.
But I just think that he feeds into the competition thing a lot.
Right.
And I don't blame him for it. I don't, because he is an intelligent, artistic, smart person who deserves a space as much as I do. But the thing is, he, out of fear and insecurity from whatever reason, he's made it spiteful and competitive. And that's really hard for me to cope with. That's why another reason why I left.
But how do you as a gay man, how does you as a gay man say to the straight community, or even just community in general, whether it be gay, straight, boy, it doesn't matter who it is, because unfortunately when, let's say you and I are in this room and a black guy comes in, all of a sudden he's the token black boy because he's in the minority, and we do end up doing things that make them uncomfortable and pointing out what they are, even if it's in a joking manner. But we just don't do that automatically as humans.
To be fair, if a black person walked in here, he's just a black person in the room with two white people. To me, it's nothing different to me. Maybe that's because of the fact that I live in the queer space and I've been in his position in a different way. But I wouldn't look at it that way. I get where you're coming from. It's just society accidentally making the token black person, the token gay person.
I look at Riz. You met Riz, didn't you?
Huh?
Riz, the Pakistani guy.
Yes, I did. Yeah,
right. I guarantee you, if we get all of our hosts in here today, somebody will make a Pakistan's a kip comment, or somebody will mention tikka masala or something. Not that they're trying to offend them. They're trying to include him in the conversation, but they're taking the piss out of him as well. But they're also making him that token minority, which Richie does to you all the time. And one of the reasons why I've said it to you before, I'll roll my eyes because Richie will ask a stupid question, and I go, and you're making him the token. And that puts me in an awful position, because I'm then thinking, Dan must hate this. Dan must hate.
Yeah, but you're looking at it on a surface level. And that kind of stuff, like what you said, those things are surface level issues. What I'm talking about is actually much deeper. It's embedded in how we treat people. Like, for instance, if I was out with my group of female friends, right? Okay. And we're all besties, and you're my gay bestie, and I was in a group of, like, with two girls specifically who were all fucking blood-packed fucking sisters. They'll still go into the bathroom by themselves, talk about an issue, and leave me outside.
Okay.
So that's the segregation I'm talking about. It's not, oh, he's the queer, or oh, Pakistan is dirt. It's the subtle separation of us and isolation of us. Because what does that do when my two friends are in there talking? I feel lesser. I feel, oh my God, am I not good enough? Then what'll I do? I'll try and impress them more. I'll fucking lick arse. Then I'll probably cause a drama because I'll get frustrated. And I'd had that a lot growing up. Like, you're sitting in a room with, at the end of the day, when it comes to, I suppose, straight, they're always going to be in their space. I'm always going to be in mine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's certain things. But I never, because of the fact it's rural Ireland and because we were smaller, I never got the chance in a spiteful way to be like, you're not included in this one.
But see, even now I'm hyper aware that it doesn't matter how many conversations you and I have had in the past, Dan, it always comes up. Your sexuality always comes up. Yeah. And I feel like an arsehole for doing that. I genuinely do. Most of the times when we're on air, I bring it up because I'm not the first person to think of a question to ask a gay person that haven't had answered, and I'd like a gay person to answer a question so these other people can see that you're just people too. I apologise for what I do, because sometimes it can come across as, you're the gay token, just say what you're supposed to say, like the night I asked you to dance, slide down a stripper pole upside down with Hello Kitty stuff on. It was only afterwards I went, and you're really, really treating them as the token gay. How do I stop doing that, Dan?
'Cause you don't understand it though. Like you're talking about Richie and stuff there, saying things. There's I get that when something's different to a person, there's a genuine curiosity about it.
Yeah.
There's a difference about it. I don't mind people asking me about like queer culture and kind of surface level trivial stuff. That doesn't bother me at all. I suppose if you were to ask deep questions where I'd be kind of like, where are you going with this? So I don't mind that you say, I'll wear a pair of heels and slide down a pole. A part of my character is I'm a dramatic person, I'm from the arts and I perform. That's fine. I may not agree with the context that you want to do it in, where it was me versus the masculine butch lads. Because to me, when you told me this story, just by the guys, everyone who's listening, Aiden suggests that we do a skit where they're all dressed as funky army men, all butch, and I'm a big gobshite in a unicorn outfit. That's segregating me from you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So it's not about, I have no problem in a different context doing the camp gay character, but in the character, the role you suggested, it was me being lesser to you.
But see, now,
it wasn't on purpose.
What you have to remember is what I did was in that video, it was suggested that myself, yourself, Richie, and Shamey the Bear would, an alarm would go off in the studio and we'd all have to put on our army uniform and, slide down a fireman's pole to go to an emergency for a podcast.
And I put on a unicorn. What's the logic?
But I also said that Shamey the Bear couldn't slide down the pole because he was overweight and he'd have to run down the stairs and he was overweight.
Yeah.
I was the old man who was decrepit and angry. So I was playing up to the stereotypes of each individual rather than, I didn't pick on just because you were gay and all of us were straight.
Why stereotype us though? Do you know?
Would you?
Why stereotype all four of us?
Why?
Why did you do that?
Because it's funny.
Is it though?
Yes.
Why?
The truth is hilarious. And I had this conversation with Richie.
Is Shamey's more than just someone who has more weight on them? You're somebody than just an older person. I'm more than just a unicorn outfit.
Yes, you are, but people still, it tickles their fancy. You know as well as I do, if you were to slide down...
I think there's more intelligent comedy than that now, to be honest.
How do you mean?
I think there's more intelligent intellectual comedy than that. I would consider Family Guy to be very intelligent intellectual comedy. Yeah. I would consider what you said, they're very carry-on movie shit that we're all behind now.
Yeah.
I would consider that
it's cheap laughs.
It's cheap laughs. Yeah. Where I'm like, be better. Do you know?
But how can you come up with a sketch? When you have
come off one off the hooks. I'm not a natural comedian.
No. Just a general question. But how do you come up with a sketch when you have it's like a Jew, a Pakistani, and a rabbi walk into a bar?
But do you think it's because there's probably more to yourself than that? Because you do everything surf, everything's a cheapskate, everything's an easy laugh, everything's an easy controversy, everything's an easy shock.
Yes.
Why do you do that?
Because it sells. And not only because it sells, it's because I understand. I've been on.
You're not trying to sell it to anyone though.
No. I kind of am. It really is. No.
Okay.
I know what works. It's like saying, okay, I can fix the refrigerator inside. I know how to fix it, but I can go about it the right way and fix it the long, convoluted way and get a new motor and blah, 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 blah. But what I can do in the meantime will work and people will be happy. But you can
still better the situation and make it just as funny and just as easy.
I can, but...
And make it better and more memorable.
It's almost impossible for a writer or somebody who's involved in comedy, to come up with a sketch without somebody being the victim at the end of it.
But that's okay about someone being the victim of it without stereotyping them.
Stereotypes can be very funny and can be very useful.
Though, but I think in this world they're not as funny as they used to be. I think the world is changing.
I don't think so. I think there's a very small section of society who are getting upset. Half of our LEDs just fell down. That was weird.
That's why it's saying you're talking bullshit.
Actually, how long are we on air now, Dan?
45 minutes.
That's fine. Sorry, where was I? I'm getting distracted. It's falling down more over here.
Yeah, like the whole studio's falling apart. No, you were saying that cheap laughs
work. You look at every stand-up comedian. They will use bad language and the audience will automatically... Brendan O'Carroll, he just has to walk out on stage and go, how was your fanny? And everybody bursts out laughing and you're like, that wasn't even funny.
Do you not want to be better than that?
I do, absolutely. Yeah. But in the meantime, I need to rope those fuckers in who are into the cheap laughs. I need the mass audience. This is getting weird.
It is, yeah.
I need the mass audience to come in to find us. But I still
think you can get the mass audience by that.
I think it's a select
by looking
few.
just a little bit deeper than just the surface level laugh.
Well, I mean, you look at somebody like Dave Chappelle.
The way I actually would have probably swapped it around was in that skit you're talking about would be even though I was in
reverse the roles.
Okay, so that's what that makes it more intelligent, less discriminatory, still funny. And because to me, when you sold that skit to me, because I know who made it up, you and Ricardo, Richie made it up together, and it just sounded to me like the two bros.
Testosterone.
That's it. And to me, that's why I was like, oh, right, okay. Whereas reverse the roles, me and Shamey were the better ones in the fucking thing. You two tits couldn't handle it. You see, that's why I need to start looking outside the bubble.
Yeah, but see, and
it's still the same skit. It's still a cheap laugh, and the cheap laugh is the two guys who thought they were going to be great at it are on the floor needing medical assistance afterwards, and the gay and the unicorn outfit and the fat guy are doing great.
I would be up for that. Yeah. I have no problem sliding down a pole.
Then why didn't you do that in the first place?
Because it didn't dawn on me.
Yes. And why isn't it dawning on you?
I don't know. I have no idea. I just think I'm an easy media guy. I wouldn't even say easy media guy.
No, you are I would say, set in your ways when it comes to media. You're too long in the game. You're playing the same note, the one character, the one thing the whole time.
But it sells.
It does, but other things sell as well, Aiden. And innovation and change can be even more sexy than the same old shit.
But see, I'm sitting here thinking of me in a unicorn fucking going down the pole, and I'm going, yeah, that's funny, that works. And we swap roles.
Do you think you don't use your resources enough, though?
Absolutely. I 100%. I know that.
Like you've yet to come to me, who apparently is on the podcast,
I hate
and
asking
asked me. No, not to do asked me a skit idea.
I don't know why I haven't done that. I'm going to be honest with you. I genuinely have no idea why I haven't come to you to ask.
Because you're this lone wolf. You take everything on yourself.
I do.
Everything on yourself. You take other people's problems, other people's joy, other people's issues. You take it all upon yourself.
Yes.
Why do you do that?
That's a really difficult question to answer. I don't have a short answer for that. But what I do know is every time that I've asked, not every time, that's wrong of me to say, but a lot of times when I've asked for help in the past, Dan, you should know this.
Yeah, I get you. I know exactly where you're going with this. Yeah, it doesn't happen.
People let you down.
Yeah.
And I've gone to not asking people twice. I will ask somebody. It's like my resident that's here. Today I went into him and I said, "Can you clean this room, please?" And he didn't clean it.
I would say it's more of having the wrong people in your life.
But I'm trying to turn the wrong people into the right people.
Yeah, see, that's you always trying to change things. Whereas, like, you started off this conversation saying to me that I'm very analytical and I'm very this and intelligent, blah blah. Then why have you not asked me? You're choosing to ask other people who have let you down already. Rather than asking because that's a mistake. This sounds very dictatorial, but I have to actually just level with you here and say I do the exact fucking same thing you do. So it's unfair. I'm just kind of it's probably challenging myself as well. Advocate, is that I have it's like a full on concert from here with these lights flashing and falling all over the place. But I do it. I go back again and again to the same people who have fucked me over. And I think it's because of the fact that it leads back to somewhere in our lives, it'll be childhood, teenage years, and the last 20 years. Where we've just been put down so much that we don't think we're good enough. So we have to go back to these people who have power over us. Or
is it a case of maybe we do think we're good enough and we're trying to prove them wrong?
No, we know in our head we're good enough. And there is, actually, no, that is true. We're trying to prove them wrong. But I think it's an insecurity thing.
Okay.
I think it's I'm a piece of shit and I need to just ask these people who...
I swear to God, the amount of times this week alone I went... How could anybody be attracted to you? How could anybody like you? How could anybody what the usual depression shit, and I have these things in my head morning, fucking noon and night. And something that I came up with, which was I laughed at, was even this podcast, I don't do it out of the love of the podcast. I do it out of spite.
Okay.
Everything in my life is out of spite. Why are you doing X? Out of spite. Because, you could be dead tomorrow, so you may as well fucking do it. I don't care what other people think about me. I don't care what other people are going to say about me. I'm just going to do this in spite. Even if it fails fucking miserably, I'm going to continue through until I either die or it's all taken away from me. Out of spite.
Okay. And why is it spiteful?
I don't know. I really don't know. I wake up every day out of spite. We all wake up out of spite. There'd be no choice but to do that. And that's the way I continue on the rest of the day. I go.
Were we overlooked as a child?
Oh yes. Yeah. Well, I was the middle child.
So that because I think a part of the reason why I behave like that is because I was overlooked an awful lot. Well, because I was the only gay. Well, it turns out there was plenty of gays in my primary school, but I was the only camp.
How many kids in your family?
It's just me. I'm an only child. I was in primary school. So my primary school class, I would have been very much the black sheep.
Oh God!
Because I was very obviously a feminine little boy. Right. Now it turns out there was.
But were you feminine?
There was four. I was. Yeah. It turns out there was like 4 other queers in the class, but they didn't come out. They were teenagers. They had a different thing. But I actually have been treated differently by teachers. I've been segregated my whole life, basically, and overlooked. Like my talents and my abilities have always kind of been a bit more than the credit they get. And that may sound quite big-headed of me. I'm no Beyonce. I'm not going to sit here and say that I am God's gift to the media world by any means, but I fucking know that I'm good at it. And I'm good at what I do, but it's just not getting the credit it deserves. And I think the reason why I don't push for it, the reason why I'm not, is because I've always been told I'm second best.
At what age can you remember learning and that feeling of emotional segregation? When was that? When do you first remember, I'm different than everybody, everybody's better than me?
Well, actually, the first thing had nothing to do with being gay. The first kind of so my mother got pregnant out of marriage.
Okay.
And she had to have me in London, and I was meant to be adopted. She worked with nuns in London to have me adopted out. But when it all happened, my grandfather decided, no, bring him home, we're going to rear him. But I have always been made to feel like the bastard child, because my father's family have put that label on me.
Okay.
So this is a funny thing, I'm sitting here, I've been labelled the queer, the bastard, because I'm quite tanned and olive skinned, I've been called Packy, I've been called foreigner. So I've dealt with racism, I've dealt with discrimination, there's a whole phobia. But the kind of earliest feeling of it is that I've always was. So I had 3 cousins who lived up the road from me, Auntie Evlubadoo.
Say nothing.
Nearly said nothing.
Yeah, we can edit this out anyway.
She childminded me, but I was always made to feel like I wasn't a part of the family, because, and when my the rest of the family all live abroad, when they'd come home, I'd always be made to feel like, the bastard child. Not that they weren't calling me, but I've always felt like that. My dad's family finally let me kind of in a little bit when I was like 6 or 7. Weird choice. My dad decided to kind of bring me out to the farm, because he's a farmer, and I was always made feel like the different child, and I wasn't even fully that person's child. Can you
remember, like...
Oh, I remember that.
No, but it's quite hard to describe, but can you remember the emotional distress as a child?
Yes.
That feeling of overwhelmed that, I'm different, nobody likes me, everybody hates me.
The first time I met my grandmother, my father's mother, I was 6 years old. The first time I met her, and I was in her house, and he brought me out to the farm once or twice behind her back down to the yard and let's see the animals, but then finally brought me into the home place.
Okay.
And there was 4 cousins there. One of them isn't with us anymore, actually, and there was 3 others, and they were all kind of excited to meet me. Obviously they'd heard about me, this baby was born, and here he is, 6 years of age. I don't fully remember the aspect. When she came into the room, I ended up sitting out in the hall by myself while they all stayed in the kitchen.
What, was that a decision you made?
A decision I made, and clearly I felt that I was an outsider, and I left and went out and sat in the hall. I think it's got better. I had some sort of relationship with her at 6, yeah. And then the gay thing comes in, and in school then I was segregated.
But at 6 you didn't realise you were gay?
Oh, I did, yeah.
At 6?
Oh, absolutely. I've always known that there was something there, yeah. I can't remember a time where I didn't know I was gay.
But did that make you feel like no matter what you did in your life, they were going to judge you just because of this one thing?
Yeah, and it's led me to naturally take that position, like in jobs and stuff. And defensive / separating myself naturally when people aren't doing it. It's a natural thing in me to...
So that segregation just isn't coming from the other side, it's coming from you too?
Not all the time now. Don't say that it's all on me, because it's not.
No, but it's part and parcel.
It's part, like, especially in jobs, I'll take everything on myself, I'd be like, oh yeah, like for instance, I had one boss who fired me, and she said, Daniel, she said, look, I'm going to give you a bit of advice here, because she was a bit of a freak and she listened in on my calls and everything, my emails. She said, you take everything on yourself. You're pulling all the other co-workers' issues, and she said, you're not able to do that. You have failed here because of that reason. And even though I thought she was a bitch and she had other psychotic shit, I should have taken her to court. But that's one thing I actually, in the minute of me being like, going to shoot this woman for what she's doing to me, I kind of went like, oh my God, she's right. I separate myself from the crew and take it all on myself, because I feel I'm not good enough, I have to be the best. And you're not the best at everything, Daniel. And I do that a lot.
So how do you deal with it? Because I'm in the same situation as you.
Well, as I said at the start of this conversation a few minutes ago, when we brought up the pride thing, that's the last 12 months have been about. And me knowing when I'm doing too much, me pushing back when others should be doing more. And it's a matter of actively noticing it as you're going on in your head.
Right.
Do you know, I sat and bitched about...
Are you proactive or reactive though?
I'm a bit of both. Sometimes I'm proactive. We all have our good and our bad days. So there's days where I am proactive, and there's days where I am standing up for myself, and there's days where I am negotiating and, even out the workload, and days where I'm just down, I just do it myself. It's an ongoing challenge. Like, I lost friendships in pride. I've had arguments in pride that shouldn't have happened. There is a weird, as I said, I actually told you this, the kind of it's been a month now nearly. The time after Pride has been very unusual for me. It's been it's not even a lull. It's kind of like apart from the fact that I have made friends, but in the bigger picture of the kind of fact that I fucking created an entire event and festival, I'm still sitting here unemployed. I've applied for several jobs in the town. I've got nothing.
See, that's that critical thinking.
So that's that critical thinking as well. Yeah. But it's not even critical. It's more like, should I have bothered if I didn't get anything out of it? Do you know? Did
you get something out of it?
I got friends, which is nice. I did get friends, but I didn't get what I thought I'd get out of it, no.
What did you think you'd get out of it?
A pathway to something more is what I thought would come out. Whether it be further prides or like Pride now is looking like I have to start again from the scratch. And that's not to do with money. I don't, because I see other people, I've seen other people's stories around me. I've actually witnessed other situations, been a part of other people's situations. It's just, for instance, my friend that I mentioned earlier, he did a big festival here in town and he made loads of connections and they're all working with him to get the best thing next year. Mine are all kind of gone. But are you sure that's what's happening, or is, he could be just saying that? Maybe he's in the same situation as you. Actually, do you know what? That could be true. True, actually. Bullshitter knows a bullshitter and all that kind of stuff. Maybe that is true. But yeah, I think the kind of, look, maybe I was looking for the big moment, the big ta-da, you've won the X Factor, here we go, da, da, dun, dun, dun. We're all going to start crying, there's fireworks, and that didn't happen at all. But it did. You did cry. I did cry. On the podcast. Yeah. There was emotional moments. So, but of all of this stuff that happened, like, you had, you had your podcast, you had laughs, you had tears, you had joy, you had and all. And it was probably more, the podcast isn't a good example, because it was probably more the events that happened on the day of Mullingar Pride is probably what ended. That's what you're upset with. Yeah, that's probably why I'm upset, to be fair. The events that I think, maybe looking back in hindsight, the moment the lights went off in Belvedere at Workfest would have felt very like 3 weeks earlier when the podcast ended, only for a lot of bullshit went on when I was out there. Between some of it was my fault. I'm no angel. I got overstressed a few times throughout the day. It was a bit snappy and rude. I get it. But then other cunts as well around being cunts. Yeah, but see, we've discussed this. Yeah. You're too professional, Dan. I am too professional. If you say to somebody, you go get me the newspaper, I need it now. Yeah. You're not saying it to be a bastard and make them your gopher. You need the newspaper and you need it now, and that's the problem. I was the chairman and the boss and the event planner, the whole thing. I should have acted like a boss and been like, everyone gets shit together. Yeah, that's my problem too. Instead, I wasn't doing. I was telling people what to do, but I don't. Maybe I need management courses. Maybe I need to look up psychology of asking people to do things for you. Maybe I need to be a bigger prick. Like Mark is always telling me to be a bigger asshole. Like Mark says he cannot understand. Like Mark, everyone said Mark was epic at Pride, and he was. But he actually told a few people to fuck off throughout the day. Nice, fair play to Mark. And I was like, oh my God, and I'm the one who just didn't say anything to anyone and kind of went off to the trees crying, and you're the one who everyone is talking about, and he actually got what I didn't get from Pride. Right. He has been celebrated a lot post Pride, which is fine. He deserves it. He does deserve it. But not, and being honest, going to be childish here, not as much as I do. And I don't know, is it because how he is with people or how things go with people? I don't know. But it was a weird one for me. Could you be in a position of, what was the name of that fucking movie where the song was Never Enough? What was that movie? The Greatest Showman. Oh, right, okay, yeah. So that song was, you can give me all the stars in the sky. So you're jumping on that same thing that you jumped on the phone call as well. I'm very aware that life is not what we think it's going to be, and it's not all a Hollywood. I'm more aware of that than you can ever imagine. But look at it from my perspective when it comes to Pride specifically. If other people who were involved, who did do quite a bit of it, but are getting more praise and more than who has been at it for 10 months, so there's something wrong there. So there is something fucking wrong there. It's not me being like, never be enough, I want more attention. But like when they're getting text messages, statuses made about them on Facebook, stopped in the streets, mentioning and you're just the fucking person who brought it all together, sitting there. Oh, by the way, I'm the one who did this shit. Yeah. Do you know? And then I got petty, and I did get petty, and that's not fair. I got petty and bitchy. It's okay. 10 days after Pride, I started saying, well, they're all saying, well, he fucking actually did this, and it was me, and that was childish of me. That was childish of me. But at the end, I was hurt. I was fucking hurt. Of course you were. I was very hurt that other people involved and who did deserve praise, I'm not saying they didn't, were getting 90% more than I was. I got a bit like, well, fuck the whole lottie and fuck the town, is the way I felt. But that's a perfectly normal human reaction to feel. Yeah. And I think you do what I do. And actually, I'll bring this up after the break. I'm going to go a quick break. I need to take a slash. So we'll take a quick break and we'll be back in 2 minutes. Actually, for you people who are listening, it won't be 2 minutes at all. There won't be no ad break. It'll just cut straight back in. So we're on a break. And welcome back to Supernatural Dogshit. You can follow us on everything, blah, 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 blah. I'm here with Aidan Doyle himself, me, Mr. Woods, and we're having our one-on-one.
We are. It's been interesting so far.
It has. I've been enjoying it. Very therapeutic.
You and I are both media guys.
Yes.
You are definitely a media guy. You're the one person
an
I trust.
unsuccessful one, but I'm in it.
Like literally 2 seconds ago, I said to you, you know, I've redefined the word faggot, which is probably a lot of gay people out there get offended me by saying that, but I don't associate it with gay people anymore.
Okay.
I'm so comfortable around you that I can say that to you without you going, well, fuck you too, and walking out the door. You're not the sensitive type.
No.
And this is why I enjoy having conversations. But I want you now to be 100% honest.
Oh, God, okay.
Right now, you need to be 100% honest.
Right.
Here. How do you feel tonight is going?
Me? Good, yeah. Honestly.
Is that the media voice talking? Or
No, I think it's going fine. I think it's great. It's interesting. We're talking about interesting topics. It's a one-on-one. We're talking lots of stuff. Yeah, I think it's going well.
Okay, well,
Why? What do you think?
I'm delighted with it. I've been waiting for this moment for you and I to sit down and have a chat with each other, because I've worked with so many amateurs in the past.
Yeah.
I really have. I love you, Richie. You're a fucking weapon of mass destruction. I love you, but you're terrible. And most of the people I've worked with, the only other person that I've worked with which would be as professional as you was the most unprofessional I've ever worked with, which was one of the other hosts I can't name for legal reasons, which I will explain on the podcast later on.
Okay.
Actually, I may take the opportunity to do this now.
Okay.
Supernatural Dogshit has disassociated itself with an ex-host, which I can't say the person's name until it's finished up in court.
Okay.
But there was an accusation of stuff against another person.
So there's an ongoing legal issue.
An ongoing legal issue.
Yeah, okay.
And now this person is no longer in the country and they've skipped bail and all sorts of... Yes.
Okay.
And
so you don't associate with them anymore?
We don't associate with them anymore, and we will make that clear in the future. But that particular person, I loved working with him.
Right.
Because he was very much, you could say what you want, when you want, and he had that media personality. You have that same je ne sais quoi.
Yeah, well, media is all about conflicting arguments and conflicting opinions, and that's what it is. And you're going to hear stuff. I don't agree with 90% of what you say.
Thanks.
But I'm not going to stand up and walk out the door about it. The whole point of podcasting or broadcasting, not just podcasting, is to have conflicting opinions. And that's the way it is.
And to have a laugh and a joke.
And to have a laugh. There's all the fun side of it too, but you have to, like, I'm going to bring it up again. I bring this up a lot. The View in America.
But I like The View.
But I think it's a perfect example of what media is. It is, now at the moment it's unbalanced, but it's usually a couple of Republicans and a couple of Democrats sit down and they argue, but they do not, well, I know they had an issue with Meghan McCain, but they always walk away from the table and that's left at the table. Okay. And that's what media is. You can sit on, if you're interviewing a fucking dictator in a country as a journalist, you are there and you do not react to what they're talking to in a way that's unprofessional or where you storm off or whatever. And that's what it is. And either have it or you don't, though. You either have it or you don't have it.
Could that mean then we're lacking in something?
As a media person?
Yeah, because we're media people, you get the likes of Richie or Shamey or one of the other hosts that come on air. They're a little bit more free. Because
they don't take it as seriously as we do, probably. They don't understand that even if it's a laugh and a joke, there is still a seriousness and a professionalism to media. Jackass, the biggest fucking piss take, that still had a professional team behind it with recce, production reports, being on time, all that. People don't understand that this industry, whether it be theatre, concerts, radio, television, movies, there's a team behind it who are very professional and very strict with how things are done. And that's something that I think people look at media as a fun thing about fame. This is it, woohoo. Even fucking Big Brother and Love Island have a team of people behind it who are professionally bringing it together. And I think that people who aren't media people don't get that.
Well, maybe that's why we're disliked. What we were talking about earlier.
Well, I'm not a media person outside of the media thing. Outside of doing podcasts,
but you've been involved.
Yeah,
but you've been involved in media before. You had that show. What was the name of that show? Come on, give it a plug, Dan. The show that you were on where you had to question people on...
Balcony TV Galway.
There we go, yeah.
Yeah, well, that's just the epitome of the shit show of my life. Okay. It ran for 6 years. It was run by Sony Music. There was a Balcony TV London, LA, New York.
And what was it?
Ed Sheeran appeared on the London one.
No way.
It was a music show. A band or a singer or a pop group came in, did a song, and you interview them afterwards. And it was a huge, and it was very successful. It's something like 3 billion views across all of the different channels.
Wow.
And I did it for 6 months, and the entire thing got pulled by Sony.
Just your fucking luck, isn't it? isn't it?
Just my luck. That's the story of my life, though, Aiden.
It really
like,
is.
the previous host had done it for 4 years in Galway, and but she just left naturally, like, I'm moving on and progressing. I think it actually less than 6 months. I think I did 6 months worth of episodes, because it used to be on every week, and we would say record 5 at a time.
Right.
So I only actually did it 4 times, thinking out to balcony TV, and I did it, and I interviewed Seth, and I used to change my outfit in the toilet and come back out, and to make it look like it was done weekly. And it was massive. Adele was on the one in London.
And did you get to interview anybody?
No, I did the Galway one. So it's always, but I know the Dublin person, I know Dublin one finished before. They ended up being on the London one for ages, and they interviewed someone really big as well. But yeah, I did.
You are quite unlucky when it comes to that. What I'm thinking of right now is, let's say you got a part in a movie and you were nominated for a Globe.
But I got a part in a TV show in March 2020,
and then
COVID happened.
hit. Yes,
a fucking proper TV role with a contract. Not many people know this, by the way, so this is me outing myself.
Exclusive.
It was just, I just decided not to. It was actually, I find when I don't tell people stuff, they happen, but this time it didn't work out, and I actually got a television show. It was a very, very big opportunity. I auditioned for it before Christmas in 2019. I did the entire audition process, I did the entire negotiation process, did rehearsals, did meetings, production things, and we were meant to start filming on the 1st of April and Ireland closed down the 17th of March.
Sorry for laughing, Dan.
And it was a very 2020 specific thing, so it hasn't come back. And that's
do you think it will be back?
No, it can't. It was something that was going on that year, specifically that year, that never happened and will never happen because COVID-19 came. And then there's the balcony TV disaster. And then there was another thing that happened to me as well. I nearly ended up on Expose years ago, doing fashion segments, because I did a fashion course and I worked with a fabulous stylist called Maria Fusco in Dublin. She's so camp and amazing. I idolised her. I was her assistant for a long time, and I was about to get a fashion segment, not like a week, it wasn't a big, it was basically, the way you said, and I'm here doing this, blah, 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 and she's wearing pink or whatever. I was asked to do it, and I was like, this is amazing. They pulled the fucking segment, just randomly, this happens on TV, they pulled the segment, and then Maria, my course went out, Maria took on a different intern, and
But you do realise, Dan, that timing is everything.
Timing is everything.
Everything.
It is everything.
You could do something that's really shit and fuck your career up for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You're just waiting for that right opportunity. But I have a vision of you getting a part in a movie and about to win a Golden Globe award, and then a nuclear fucking disaster happens.
That's literally what it is. That's why I think I live in a
simulation. And the award goes to bang.
Yeah, the award, and I'm just like, God, that is my life. That is 100. And people will tell you that's my life. Even people who don't necessarily like me will say, geez, you're very unlucky.
Well, as my mother would say, if she owned a duck, it would drown.
Like, even with bloody Canada that time, wanted to get permanent residency, but Canada had very strict rules at the time. I didn't get it. That was 2016. I left. Donald Trump was elected in November.
Okay.
And Canada became let's do everything the opposite to Trump. So it basically made it very easy to get a visa then. And now all my friends who actually had lesser jobs than me, had less money than me, all got permanent residency. And I was gone.
Yeah, see, I would enjoy watching you on TV because you are you. Whereas if you get someone like Richie and put him on TV, Richie's going to be whatever the director tells him to be.
Right, okay, I getcha.
They fall into, what's going to sell here? What can I do?
Well, I'm unapologetically myself, and I've always been like that, and it has worked for me in some cases.
So even in the cancel culture, do you believe that people should be apologising for things that they said on... I
believe being yourself and being ignorant to a cause that can cause a cancel culture are two separate things.
Well, it wasn't Chris
People
Rock.
who get cancelled are people who are doing misogynistic, racist, homophobic, transphobic things. That is not your personality, okay? That's not being unapologetic. That's taking a view that is outdated and wrong and using your platform to project that out to the world. And I'm not a big fan of cancel culture when it comes to dredging up something from 1982.
Yeah, that's
I think it's unfair. Back in 1982, everyone was homophobic, everyone was racist. We've all moved on and learned.
And wasn't that Chris Rock? Did that happen to him during the Golden Globes? He was supposed to present it?
On Twitter, it wasn't... To be fair, yeah, I get it with a Chris Rock thing, but also it wasn't 20, 30 years ago. It was like 3 years previous when Twitter was out.
Oh, I thought it was like in the 90s
really,
or something.
It was a dredged up tweet, but it wasn't a decade ago.
Okay.
But so I don't agree with that side of cancel culture. I don't believe in taking up Matt Lucas and David Williams and calling them racist for stuff they did in Little Britain literally 15 years ago. It is incredibly racist watching it back, but it's like, I'm sure they have moved on like the rest of us and learned like the rest of us, so it's not fair.
And do you believe that we as society don't get enough adulations, congratulations, whatever, for the amount of progress that we've made, because we have. Even me, myself, I have moved on so much. I had so many stereotype images.
But I have a different vision on progression than you do, because I think that the media and what we have at the end of our hand, which is our phones, are not real. So
they're not in sync.
They're not in sync with what's actually happening, say, in Mullingar or Longford or
So give us an example of that.
So let's see, the Me Too movement.
Okay.
All the actresses in Hollywood have all been able to come forward, rightly so, and, you know, with Harvey Weinstein, all that stuff, and have their moment, and it's still happening. And but they are privileged Hollywood women who have millions in their bank account. Is Sheila in the bank down the road who has a fella harassing her, is she getting to benefit from Me Too? Absolutely not. She's not. She's still in that world that women were in.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. So I think the Me Too movement, rights, and the Black Lives Matter, it's all at the end of a screen for us.
Well, you know,
and
that
it's
name
actually not happening in society. It's not changed society. Yeah, Anne Doyle will talk about it on the RT News, or Whoopi Goldberg will sit on The View and say, we are this. But is it happening on the ground?
No, and that's the big problem.
And that is the big issue.
I think, what's the guy's name who he played Dumbledore?
Richard Harris, or the other one?
The other one.
Michael Gambon.
No, it wasn't Michael Gambon. Was it Michael?
Dumbledore,
Oh no,
Richard
Stephen Fry. I'm thinking of. Why am I thinking of
Stephen Fry? He wasn't Dumbledore.
He wasn't. No, sure he wasn't.
Absolutely not. Was he even in Harry Potter? I don't think he was.
But Stephen Fry
voiced it.
Was having a debate himself, Jordan Peterson, Michael Dyson.
Where he said that the left are ridiculous, and
and he is a member of the left.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
but
we're
he
not
made
aggressive
a statement
enough.
What he said was, and this is to your point, he said there's a chasm, a fissure that has opened up, and all of us normal people are standing down the bottom, while the other people are up the top shouting across at each other. Nobody can hear one another, but we're all down the bottom going, what are they talking about?
That's it. And that's what's happening. And that's what's happening with human rights movement and social movements around the world. They're happening for Kim Kardashian, but they're not happening for Mary in the local shop.
Yeah.
And that's a problem, because we are 7-point-something billion people. We're not the, say, 5,000 or 6,000 people who are actually famous across the world from a soap opera, reality show, to a movie star. And that's the issue. And that's my problem with left side media and right side media. That's not the real world. The real world is people get up in the morning and go to their job and have kids to worry about, and bills to pay, and car tax to worry about, and getting their holiday Menorca in July. And that's the real world.
So I suppose then what I've been banging out for the past couple of years is tell the truth. Tell the truth. It doesn't matter whether you're on the right or you're on the left. If the right are assholes, call them out for it. If the left are assholes, call them out for it. You know, I think it's vital to every one of us to tell the truth, even if it hurts the other person. We need to tell the truth, and it's also quite hilarious as well. The truth can be very funny.
Yeah.
You know, if you tell a story, you can. I could walk out on the stage tonight and go, well, yesterday, you know, I had diarrhea and I shit all over myself in O'Brien's garage.
Okay, right.
And everybody laughs.
Does that happen?
Nobody, no, no, but nobody admits that.
Okay, I get you.
But we all go through these things. But we're still afraid to talk to each other, and there's a lack of communication. And I said it to you.
Well, vulnerability is unfortunately seen as a weakness in society, and it's not. Sometimes it can be, but 99.9% of the time, vulnerability is actually a very empowering, very helpful thing. But we don't. That's a very Irish thing as well. Like, I think the fact that Irish people don't talk about money is a really damaging.
It's weird,
but it's a really damaging thing in society, because, for instance, there's a situation. My mum, I'm going to bring her up to something personal. There is an issue with a pension going on with her old job. It's a great thing.
Okay.
But none of them, she's not tech savvy. She had no email. This company were emailing her, but she's not in that. She doesn't even have the app on her phone. She was talking to several people she used to work with, and because of the money situation, none of them even said to her, by the way, have you heard about the pension?
Okay.
She got a letter sent to her old house, because she's gone out of the job 6 years. Eventually got that letter randomly, because I think the person living there felt it might be important, and was late for everything. And that's what so why don't we talk about things like money or health or issues going on with ourselves? You keep everything now,
but you're not even allowed to say suicide anymore.
No, you're not. Well, that's because the term, I thought, has changed.
It has changed, but there's a lot of things like what you're talking about there which have changed negatively, because we can't talk about these things, like the likes of money. Why can't an Irish person say to another,
like,
how much do you earn?
Private. No one had to say to my mother, I'm getting this much and I'm putting it here. But just even like, you know, have you heard about the pension thing?
Exactly.
Do you know, we don't do that. That's what I mentioned at the top of the show, that like I try to create new boundaries, being private and stuff. But that doesn't mean that I'm completely closed off from the world. Like, what I meant then was just say, oh, me and Mark had a row, but I don't need to tell you the exact details of why we rowed, and all that, which is what people look for sometimes. But getting back to the vulnerability thing, we're not showing our vulnerability as Irish people in society. We're wrapping it all up in a fucking plaster, and we're all internalizing our own issues and problems and falling apart, really.
From the seams.
From the seams,
yeah.
absolutely falling apart. And I don't know, to change societal issues is totally different than changing human rights issue. Referendums and stuff, they happen and the laws come in, but the social situation doesn't change.
Well, I try to explain to, I'm not going to name drop, our friend, you know, the guy that I'm going to say.
I know who you're talking about.
I was talking to him about nomenclature. I done an interview with him last week. What day was it that I was on with him?
I have no idea. Was it Thursday?
It was like a 3-hour fucking thing.
Okay.
And himself and his missus were on it, and it's a weird combination, a missus and him interviewing me. It was actually quite funny. I enjoyed it. But the guy brought up the...
You can say the name if you really want to, Aiden.
No, I can't for this reason. He brought up the transgender issue.
All right, okay, but he's obsessed with.
And I turned around and I said, the only problem that I have with the transgenders movement is nomenclature. And I was trying to explain it. He went, who's nomenclature? I said, nomenclature, it's what we agree on. 1 means 1, 2 means 2. If you agree that 1 means 1 and I agree that 1 means 1, when we combine them, we both get 2. But if you say that 1 is equals 3 and I say that 1 is 1, our math is going to be wrong. So we need to agree on the basics of our language. I said, that's the only problem that I have, that we need to be able to say, a transgender man who is a biological man needs to be able to go into a hospital and say to a man...
No, a transgender man will be a biological woman changing into a man.
Yeah, but they need to be able to go into a hospital and say, you need to treat me as a male because I have testicles. You know, I don't need to see a gynecologist, I need to see a urologist. The point is, we need to be honest enough, even in the comfort of our own homes or with our doctors.
But I'm sure in a private moment with a transgender person in a hospital, they will do stuff like that. So then that's not for...
That's my only problem with it.
The trans issue comes up an awful lot in the studio. For everyone listening, behind the scenes, we haven't yet approached it.
But have you ever heard my problem behind it?
But you shouldn't have a problem with it, Aiden. Like I said earlier,
I do. It's only communication. That's my only problem.
Yeah, but there shouldn't be a problem because it's nothing to do with you. It's an issue that has nothing to do with you.
But there's a lack of communication.
But it's not a societal issue. Transgender people are not a society issue. It's about people want to do something for themselves.
Okay.
It's not a wider societal issue like the economy or war.
But they're expecting society to take part in their narrative.
No, they're expecting society to respect them, which they don't.
Absolutely, and I'm okay with that.
And that's not too much to ask.
I mean, they're
expecting a society in which they partake in, which they pay their tax in, to completely and utterly facilitate them like the rest of us.
And I have no problem doing any of that. And I have no problem treating them the exact same way I treat you or anybody else that I meet. My only problem with it, is the nomenclature around it. It's the language that we use. I've found it so difficult. I've said it to you many times. Oh, you remember that guy? And you go, no, that's actually a girl. And I go, sorry about that. Now I know. You know, I have to constantly correct myself because I have 41 years of thinking.
But what's wrong with correcting yourself?
Nothing. I never said there was.
Yeah, but you once told me that the
whole society has to take part in that correction. And there's so many, like my mother, who's unbelievably anti-trans, that she will go, oh no, they're freaks or they're this or that, whatever, and she would never even call them human. I'm calling them human. I don't want to take part in you demanding that I must say X.
But I think so, because I demand that people call me Daniel.
Do you?
I do. I demand. Or that I call that I am as a person, or Dan or whatever. I demand people to respect
but that's something
me. And
that comes up on an introduction level.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Dan. Hi, Dan. How are you?
Yeah.
That doesn't happen with a transgender. Hi, my name is.
Stop saying with a transgender. With someone who is transgender.
Someone who's transgender.
Yeah, a trans person.
It's a problem where you go, hi, my name is Michelle.
But what is so wrong about them asking people to refer to them as their assigned gender?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, so
but I can't be expected to know exactly what that is. But no one's expecting that
because of how. To be fair, because of how society and how the media, the left side media, which can be extreme as well, has played it off that so much as misgendering something is like the end of the world. You had a trans person here in your studios during my podcast.
Yeah, wonderful person.
And if you were to I'm sure that it would have very politely explained that to you. So in our heads we think, because of the media and because of the trans movement online, we're thinking, oh my god, if I so much as accidentally do that, it's going to be a bad thing.
Yes.
But every trans person will let you know from the get-go how to refer to them. So what's wrong with that?
And this is why I brought it up from the what Stephen Fry was saying. We're at the bottom, and everybody
they're all
is screaming up the top.
Look, both sides, left and right, in the media and in the world, are fucking stupid. Assholes. They are stupid on both sides. And they're also both to the extreme on both sides.
Yes.
Like I'm not a right person at all. But there was one person who was very right on an American TV show who said that the right isn't even being represented properly enough because their extreme version of society is nowhere near what I see society being.
Yeah, it's like the Capitol Hill thing.
Yeah, it's that, but then that's an American thing as well. And unfortunately, we live in Ireland, so American and British culture spews into us because we're caught between the two of them. So there's no proper representation on either side anymore. The left side is really, really extreme, where it's cancel culture, it's belittling, it's the Twitter, it's the hate, it's the craziness. And then you have the right-hand side, which have these extreme views on what society should be.
Yeah, but see, Dan, I'm confused.
Why are you confused?
I'm seriously, I'm starting to get a headache here because I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, I meet a guy who's dressed like a woman. They want to be, they want to be known as a woman. They want to be, her or she.
So why don't you just drop the pronouns?
So if I don't drop the pronouns, I accidentally slip up myself, and then I'm putting myself under pressure.
What's your name? And then just call them that from the next every time you see them. Just drop the
I know,
pronoun.
but then if I'm talking about them in the third person,
and if you do act, well, why would you talk about them in the third person when in front of them?
No, not in front of them. Okay. I'm saying just I've spoken about people in the third person. I met them. I met this lovely woman the other day, or I met this guy the other day. Or it's just part of nomenclature. It's the way I speak, and that is the only. And like I said at the very start, my only problem with the transgender community is the expectation of me to be able to completely understand that they're Z's or they, them, whatever it may be. If they come over to me and they say to me, hi, my name... It
just sounds to me like you don't understand it.
My name is Stephanie. You can refer to me as whatever. And they tell me, I'm absolutely cool with that. But if they don't open their mouth, in my head I'm going...
Have you ever been in a situation that's happened up in the mouth, Wade? And you also are part
once.
Okay, it's happened once in your whole 41 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it was an uncomfortable situation. But I've met many transgender people, and I've always, not that they're making me uncomfortable, I'm always terrified that I'm going to upset them. And this brings us back to the left side of the media. The left saying to me, if you dead name them, that's it, you're fucking cancelled. But you know what it sounds
like to me though as well? It sounds to me like, and this is not to insult you, and I'd say the same to Richie, who also brings up the transgender. You don't know enough about it. Like me with the abortion thing, you don't know enough about it and why it means so much to a trans person to be referred to as their chosen gender. You don't understand the backstory into why someone is trans. You don't understand the biological side of it.
No, I do, Dan, but you were listening to what I was saying.
We had a conversation before where you didn't understand
But listen to what I said. I will refer to them whatever way they want, as long as they tell me what it is.
And 99.9 of them will do that.
Excellent. And then I have zero problem.
So why bring up the topic then?
Because I'm talking about nomenclature. I know.
I get where you're coming from. You're saying that side of it, but like you as a personal level, now this isn't about the world of media and how we're down in this chasm. It's just I'm bringing this up because it's come up a lot in this studio. It has come up a lot. This topic has come up quite a few times.
It's topical
because I think that both you and Richie are very intrigued by it. You're confused by it. You want to educate yourself
very
by
confused.
it. But in that fact that I don't see you being open to learning much about it either.
Okay,
because I have explained things to you several times, and then the topics put up again.
And you think I haven't learned from them?
Well, you haven't, because we actually discussed in detail about the gendering pronoun thing before.
Exactly, and I've moved on since then. Yeah, whereas before I was, goddamn, they're telling me that's what I should say. Mm-hmm. Now I'm saying to you is they need to tell me what I need to say before.
Another thing is, do you not feel that when it comes to, it's the way I feel about the church and homosexuality, it's the taking a small aspect of society, because they are a minority, and even if they were all out and proud and given their full rights, they're still a minority. Gay people are still a minority compared to heterosexual people. Why is the focus on it? Why is the church, out of that whole big fucking Bible, all the different things that are in it about marriage, about infidelities, about eating meat, and all this stuff that has the exact same emphasis, why are they so focused on the one thing? Why are the cisgendered world, the conservative cisgendered world, so focused on such a small aspect of it?
I don't think they are.
They are, though.
No, I don't think.
Is other people
but you just
so focused on talking about my sexuality?
Well, what you're saying there is totally going against what you said earlier, and what I said as well, which was we're all down on the ground listening to these shouting at each other.
But I'm talking about society in general.
But society in general don't give a shit whether you have a penis or not.
No, they do. I don't agree with that. They do. There's a fascination and a fetishization and a fascination and a curiosity towards the LGBTQ plus community from the people who are non-LGBTQ that I don't understand, and I don't get why it's there.
I'm sure that you have.
And if I have been in clubs, I've been in bars, especially when drinks involved. About what?
Anything.
I do, but I don't. approach them in the way that people would approach us.
Okay, you meet a person from Nigeria and you've never met a person from Nigeria before.
Yeah.
You're going to ask them about their culture, you're going to ask them about their traditions, and
to be honest with you, not particularly, unless I got to know them.
Why?
Because they're a stranger, and I don't need to bring up anything. I don't need to know anything about a stranger.
That's going to come up.
Yeah, if it flowed in naturally, but I don't think it does flow in naturally when it comes to LGBTQ plus issues. I don't think it flows in naturally.
You think we're
I think we are
shoehorning that in?
confronted a lot with questions as a person who's in that community a lot unnecessarily.
But do you think I'm shoehorning it in?
But as I said to you earlier at the start of the hour, where people think that you might be an asshole, is because you don't let the conversation naturally fall into these spaces. You just controversially throw it in. Yeah, it's your job when you're on this microphone, but it's not when you're off the mic.
Yeah, but I don't think we talk about this stuff very much off the mic, do we? Like, I've tried to lay off.
It's come up an awful lot.
I've tried to lay off the LGBT stuff.
No, it's not about laying off it. You're missing the point. What I'm saying is, in a society, I asked. The original point was, why is there such a focus?
Because the
us?
transgender people have put the focus on themselves.
I wouldn't say that at all.
I think they do.
I really wouldn't say that at all. I would say that there is a phallus issue when it comes to men. Seriously, I would say that a bit, and I would say there's an anal issue when it comes to gay men. That the idea.
But even the gay men don't get on with transgenders.
I think that Panty Bliss put it in a great way. She said that straight people focus on the sexual act. It's why lesbians don't have as hard a time as us, and they actually don't. No offense, they don't. It's because they focus on the sexual act. And I think when it comes, you don't hear that much about
no, you're right.
trans men.
We do
because
focus on
they're
sexuality.
focusing on penises. And I know this sounds. There is such a focus in society on the dick. There is, and I think that's a big problem, and that's why. Biologically male people transitioning into female have a worse time than the other way. And I think the same reason why gay men have a worse time than lesbians is because of this phallus issue that's been there since the fucking start of dawn of time, that especially with cisgendered men and cisgendered women as well, can't move on from.
Okay.
The church focuses on gay sex more than anything else. Even the Pope will say, the Pope came out and said a few years ago that we shouldn't no longer shun gay people for being gay, but basically gay sex is wrong. And that's kind of where he came out. So it's focusing on the sexual act, it's focusing on the transition part and the losing of the penis or the insertion of the penis into the ass. That's what I think.
How could a heterosexual person who hears something that's outside
because
of the norm.
Because deep down there's something going on there.
No, but it's something that's outside of the norm to them. When they hear about it, it's like when we watch, TV shows about people being murdered or serial killers. We're infatuated by these people doing these things.
Well, that's also because we're brought up to believe that difference is a problem.
Yes, exactly.
We are brought up. That's just something that is no real person's fault. It's a circle of abuse. It's a cycle of whatever. Is that
can
being
my
different
curiosity
is wrong?
Be misconstrued as I'm asking a question that's rhetorical?
I would say no deep down because I know you as a person. But I will say that your approach sometimes is very abrasive and not in a good way.
And but I'm just trying to get to the facts.
Yeah.
I don't really.
Yeah, but you can get to the facts in a nicer, politer, more inquisitive manner.
And would you say that there's in any way tonight that I've been disrespectful?
Not
towards?
here, but I would say the other conversations we had off the mic, sometimes I've been a bit like, there's a different way you could ask that, Aiden.
Can you give me an example? I don't mind being on air.
I don't really want to bring it up.
Really? Is it that bad?
Well,
is it that bad?
Yeah, it's discussion over post and pre and post up.
What the vagina looks like.
Yeah, and you came out of the room after being and just said I had to Google.
Let's explain that to people.
So yeah, and I thought that was just
let's explain. So you were on the podcast. Dan was doing his podcast, and I was supposed to be listening for a cue for the ad break, and unfortunately, you guys were talking about transgender, and I went in my brain. I went, I wonder what a transgender vagina looks like.
Yeah,
I'd seen one years ago, which wasn't great work from plastic surgeons, so I was googling it, and I saw it. I went, ooh, that actually looks quite decent.
Yeah, but then you came out to the room to a Pride podcast and just said, sorry, I missed it because I was looking up transgender pussy. Basically, is what you said to us. And I was like, that's not how to bring it up. You could have come out and be like, do you know what, after listening, do you know why I missed that? It's because you mentioned that there. And I said, do you know what, I actually have never seen what it looks like after someone's had post-op surgery.
Not what I said.
No, you come out and said, I had to Google a transgender's vagina. And that's abrasive.
But the message is the same.
It's not the same. It's rude. It's like coming out into a room full of people in
at a funeral
and being like, I don't know, I can't think of it. I
was googling what dead bodies look like,
and we'll probably have to agree to disagree on this one. I just think that the approach there, and other times when this topic has come up, it's not. But it's what I said to you 5 minutes ago was I think you should try and change your approach. That your curiosities are not wrong. Just be sensitive to the fact that I need to maybe understand how to approach these things. It's like a doctor going in to tell a patient they're dying. They don't go and be like, you're dead, bitch. They sit down and go, right, we've looked at the tests and look, listen, it's not great. Do you know, you don't do that. You are...
yeah, but I say, I genuinely, hand on heart, I find it difficult to understand where the offence is. If somebody turned around and said to me...
It's a manners thing then.
But if somebody said to me, I just Googled why people are bald, I'm not going to go...
That's you. That's you, Aiden. You have to remember the people around us. You have to...
That's the part I find difficult to understand.
And look, you don't have to like completely water yourself down, as you spoke at the start. Like, you know, I'm the same in certain ways that I could approach some people and some I can't. But just when it comes to these sensitive topics, okay, these topics that there is high emotions around.
Of course there is.
And there's an awful lot, and they are subjected to an awful lot of stuff that me and you will never understand. Even as a gay man, I've been to a lot, and I'm
not
stuff
that they would never understand.
Exactly, absolutely. And it's just a respect level and an awareness of what to do.
But me walking in and saying something, and I'm going to make this point because I do think it's quite valid. What's his name? Tommy Tiernan told a joke about Down syndrome people. And people within the Down syndrome community, the adults and not the adults, the parents of Down syndrome people came forward and went, that was awful, that was unbelievable that you could say that, cancel. Tommy Tiernan works with Down syndrome people very closely.
But you don't work with trans people, in.
No, I don't.
That's where
no,
he's
you're
the
right.
right
No,
to say that.
Absolutely. No, just bear with me a sec. What I'm going to try and get across is what he said. A Down syndrome person approached him and said, I find your jokes really funny, and I'm happy that you've now included us in that type of conversation. It makes us feel like the normal people. Look, anybody can go on stage as a comedian and take the piss out of me as much as they want because I'm a straight heterosexual guy, straight-ish heterosexual guy. You know, and people can just attack me.
But that's not a sensitive issue. Being a privileged white cisgendered male in Ireland,
and there you go. Now, Dan,
is a total different.
Are you
thing.
telling me that transgender people in this specific country are not privileged enough that they're now protected more than we are?
No, they're not. They really are not. They really aren't. They've no healthcare. They've no health system. You listen to my podcast. There is absolutely no specific journey for them to take in this country to become them true selves. Okay,
there's no and there is routes I can take to go. This kind of sounds
that's
awful.
You going up there again, up to we're down in the chasm because RTE and all them are being inclusive and the media are being inclusive. Doesn't mean the society's being inclusive.
But it does. No, not sorry. You know, it doesn't, Dan. I'm taking it from my perspective.
Yeah.
I met the guys that came up to your podcast and there's not one of them I didn't get on with.
Yeah.
I mean, for God's sake, I sat on the
That's beside the point. They're individuals and not a cause.
And here's the thing. I take everybody as an individual. If you're a dick, and that's the one thing I learned about the gay community from the podcast, as I said at the start of all this, gay people are dickheads too. You know, we're all the exact
said
same.
That we weren't dickheads.
Exactly, but in my
that's
stupid,
your closed-mindedness thinking that about it.
My problem.
So I don't think you're closed-minded when it comes to trans issue as well.
And that's what I'm trying to do. By me coming out and speaking openly and saying, "Jeez, I was just having a look."
But can I ask why you're so passionate about it? Because that's just the vibe I get off you right now when you're talking about it. I think people. So the first hour of our conversation was very chill. You're gone into your dickhead Paul, whatever it is, and you're back on that kind. When these kind of topics come up.
Okay, I'll give you an example.
Where you have to do that.
Why? I'll answer the question why. Last night I was on air on a radio station, and you know I played the part of a scumbag character who sold drugs and done many things. But over the last several years, this character has become a productive member of society. He's paying his tax. He has a child. You know, he's doing all the right things. And some guy came on air and he went, "Well, I'll always refer to you as a scumbag."
Right.
And in my frustration, I started to get passionate, and I was like, "How dare you call me a scumbag?" If you're not going to forgive me, what's the point in me not being a scumbag anymore? And that's what I was trying to get across from him. Why don't you, like he said, if you...
Well, that's one small person's ignorance, but what's that?
Exactly, but if you break the law, you'll always be known as a piece of shit. And
what's that got to do with this conversation?
I'll tell you exactly what it's got to do with it. Because when somebody comes to me and says to me, "Aiden, I don't think you're understanding," I start to get frustrated going, "But Jesus, no, I'm not saying I don't like these people. I'm not saying this." So I've
insulted you, basically, is what you're saying. Right, okay. Okay.
I feel
Whereas
like...
I don't think I've insulted you. I think I have counter-argued your issues with it and given you answers to what you're saying.
Yeah, but I don't know whether I'm misrepresenting myself.
Being it would be, Aiden, I find the conversations that you've had transphobic. That would be me insulting you. But me saying that I feel, as a person who is somewhat educated, and not very educated, but somewhat educated in it, just feel like sometimes you need to just maybe find a different way of expressing your feelings on it. You are entitled to your feelings, you're entitled to your curiosities about it, but just, it's kind of like...
Some people click with what I'm saying. And
some
just
people do, but some people click with what everyone says.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
But should then I change the way I am just because it's not clicking with you? Or should I continue on being the person I am and it's clicking with other people? Who wins?
No, because I think that... No, to be honest with you, I'm going to be probably petty here and say no. That you are entitled to your feelings on it, you're entitled to be curious about it, you're entitled to not understand it, you're entitled to have your feelings, your opinions completely when it comes to where they should be in society, what they should do, the terms and conditions of pronouns and stuff. But I think that ignorance, as in being rude about a certain topic, is non-excusable no matter who you are and who's agreeing
Absolutely,
with you.
but I don't feel I've ever been rude.
But I'd say the situation where you come out of the room was rude.
That's that's in your opinion.
Yeah.
I genuinely...
So you're telling me you don't think walking into a situation, at a pride situation, and saying something as vulgar as I just looked up a transgender is not rude?
I think there was another night where I have one of your committee members...
So you think it isn't rude then?
No, I don't think it's rude.
Okay.
There was one of your committee members, it was a lesbian, loved the girl. I get on really well. We were singing karaoke here one night.
Okay. And
I said to her, just somebody told me a lesbian joke. And somebody had just told me a lesbian joke. And she said, go on, tell me. And I was a bit embarrassed to tell the lesbian joke. I told the joke. She had a bit of a giggle, not too much of, wasn't overly, she didn't overly laugh at it. But I felt in that moment that I was able to include her in everyday sense of humour. This is what people do, this is what people say. We can all be attacked for no matter what it is, whether you're bald, you're fat, you're thin, you're small, you're ugly.
But you are not lesser in society for being bald, Aiden. You're not lesser in society.
Exactly,
whereas we are lesser in society for being
not.
Not
in my opinion.
Well, that's your opinion, but in society is the streets we walk down, the hostels we go to, the jobs we have. That's society, and that's bigger than just one person's.
Absolutely.
And that's why you're trying to say, everyone has hard times. Yes, every person on this planet, black, white, 90 years of age, 2 years of age, male, gender, whatever, has general society issues. The problem is when it comes to certain things like the black community or the trans community or the gay community, is that we are lesser for being who we are. But in society. And society is a bigger picture than just one person's opinion.
But do you think maybe, just maybe,
and that's why she's sensitive to that,
just maybe, that the conversation again about the screaming over the canyon, and we're all at the bottom, that the people at the bottom actually don't feel that way.
No, that's bullshit. I'm not, because I'm a person who I am homophobically abused in this town, at least, not abused, but I am homophobically treated at least once a week in this town. And I am down here on the streets walking this town.
I'm equally treated just as bad once a week.
For what?
Whether it be bald, being fat.
Yeah, but that's a genuine... That is...
Being
but
white,
you're not a lesser
matter.
person for it.
In their
and
eyes,
I find
I
that really ignorant that you're after saying that to me. I'm sorry. And it's actually pissing me off. Because, people are made fun of being fat. They're made fun of being bald. They're made fun of being whatever. I have all that. Gay people are bald and they're made fun of that. But you're not for being... You being bald has nothing to do with who you are. You're not being told you can't have this job because you're bald. I'm going to not serve you properly because you're bald. No one does that to you. Yeah, they make fun of you. They're like, baldy. That's different than me feeling uncomfortable in a situation, whether it be in a waiting room, in a shop, in a cinema or something, because of who I am. Okay, so you just... And it's a total difference. Okay, I take on board exactly what you said. But you just basically said that you got annoyed because, I don't understand what it's like to be abused. No, you basically just told me that you being made fun of for being bald is the same as me feeling uncomfortable in my hometown for being gay. Okay, but I can let's reverse it and say that a woman who's overweight, so she would feel equally a sting. But it's a universal thing. Everyone can be overweight, Aiden. Loads of people can shave their heads and be bald or be going naturally, but loads of people, they're universal issues. Being gay or trans or lesbian is not something that everyone can just partake on. It's something that you can't. It's like being white or black. It's like being gay or straight. It's not something that you can control. Being bald or not bald? Sorry? It's like being bald or not bald? 100% it. No, that's not it. That's really not it. And
No,
I don't know. You're
no,
after
I've
upsetting me, to be honest with you.
I've no choice.
Because I think it really belittles my issues in life.
I promise
to
you that's
say
not what I'm
that
trying to do.
being bald is the same as someone being homophobic.
No, I'm just trying to give an example.
Because that's bollocks.
No, well, my point of what I'm saying is, it doesn't matter whether you're black, white, green, purple. If you're in school, you're going to be bullied regardless. General bullying is different than being bullied for who you are as a race. It is, or your sexuality. It's totally different. But
it is totally different.
Happens no matter what.
Absolutely, because that's a human issue. A human issue is people making fun of people for being either overweight or bald or having a weird personality or being a nerd or whatever, that kind of stuff. But being chained, I'm not even getting into it.
Please,
there's
take
no
your
point
time.
getting into it because it's just...
Take your time, relax and say what you're going to say.
I'm really annoyed now.
What you have
really
to remember
annoyed.
is the message that you're spreading just isn't to me. It's to the listeners as well, who may be on my side or may be on your side.
It's not about sides.
No,
you compared the struggle of a gay person who feels very insecure and unsafe walking their town to the same as being made fun of being bald.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did, Aidan.
No, I didn't. I asked what was the difference.
No, you didn't. You said it's the same. You said, Aidan...
I said, what was the difference between me walking down the road and being called bald and you being walking down the road and being
feeling
called
uncomfortable.
gay?
No, I didn't say I was being called. I said I've had homophobic issues happen to me in the town, which tells... Do you know what a homophobic issue is? It's not being called faggot being walking on the street.
Tell me.
That's not what it's being called at all. It's not that. It's right. Let me think of the last time I was homophobic. Going down to the Fla. Walking down to the Fla, the first, I think it was Monday, and a man, I had my earphones in, I wasn't paying attention. A man stopped me and he elbowed me in the arm and goes, "Just so you know, this is what Irish pride is."
What?
He said, "This is what Irish pride is, just so you know. This is the biggest pride in Ireland." And I was like, "Excuse me?" And he goes, "Oh, not that yours wasn't good, but this is what real pride is."
Okay, well, he's just... Look,
there you go. In my hometown.
My mother...
I go into Mojo's. I'm naming it here in town, and there's a bunch of drunk, very rowdy heterosexual men, and I'm in the smoke, and they start to stare at me. And they start to talk about me behind their back, and I start to feel unsafe. Are they going to pull me up on the wall now and beat the shit out of me? Because that is a problem.
I never said it wasn't a problem.
Yeah, but the reason why I got annoyed is because you did, and we listened back to it. You said that you being made fun of for being bald is the same as my
I asked
homophobic
what was the
issues.
difference. That's what I asked.
Well, I just told you the difference.
I didn't say I didn't compare them. I asked what was the difference.
But I would have to listen to the tape because I heard it as you saying.
The reason why I'm asking these questions is you're a gay man, you're in Mojo's, and these assholes decide to be assholes. Okay, let's say now there's a black man and they decide to be an asshole, and let's say there's a fat chick, they decide to be an asshole. My mother said something that will always fucking ring to the end of my days, and it'll always come through to the forefront of my mind, which was, no matter where you go in life, never bring an asshole with you, because there's always one when you get there. People are dickheads to people, no matter who they are. You can be the best person.
I can be
in
a
the
dickhead.
world.
You can be a dickhead, but has nothing to do with
this is my
LGBTQ
point.
issues.
Exactly.
Or nothing to do with any of that stuff. So why are you bringing up the conversation then?
You can be the best person in the world, Dan, and some dickhead will still pick on the fact that you're gay. That's my point.
Not all dickheads make fun of me for being gay. Some genuinely nice people are just homophobic and they're assholes to me. I am separate to society sometimes, and that's just something that I have
picking on
to
you because
live
you're gay.
with. That's something I have to live with.
But that's what they're doing.
It's not picking on me. Not everyone shouts homophobic slurs at me, Aidan. Not everyone goes queer faggot.
No, but once
there
a
are
week
situations where I am treated lesser as a person because I am gay, because I live in rural Ireland.
And people, even straight people.
For instance, I planned, orchestrated, organised an entire event that is probably a highlight event this town has ever had, and I've applied to 10 jobs. With that on my CV, I've walked into stores and none of them gave me a job. And you're going to say, "Oh, look," and I'm telling you, it's because it was a pride event. And
is there a difference between homophobia and discrimination?
Sometimes they overlap, but there is.
Okay, and can you not agree
anyone can be a subject to discrimination? Any human being on the planet can be
exactly
subject
what I'm
to discrimination.
trying to get at.
Absolutely. Just happens that my certain genre of discrimination that I put up with is homophobic.
Exactly. So in other words, it's subjective. There's so many people out there who has subjectively faced discrimination regardless of their gender, their weight, it doesn't matter the colour. We all face something in our lives. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying that these people are assholes. They're dickheads for picking on people. All I'm saying is expect
Can you just listen to what you just said there? You are right in what you're saying. People can be dickheads, and no matter who you are in this world, we've all had to put up with shit. But you're trying to compare a homophobic societal issue with general problems.
A black man's not a general problem.
And neither's a gay person.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to get at.
But you're not saying that.
But
you're
that's
trying
exactly
to the argument
what I've
with me where you're
said.
saying that everyone puts up with shit and you do too. That's what you're trying to say to me.
Exactly.
It's just that,
yes.
but they don't put up with... Okay, right, fine.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. Everybody puts up with shit.
Well, I think that's bullshit.
My point is...
what you're saying.
It's not, because then what you're doing is... You're taking away from the other person who has faced discrimination in their life for their whatever it may be.
I am absolutely not taking that away from them at all. I am not taking that... How? Explain to me how.
Because even if I did say what you said, I said earlier on, which was comparing a bald man...
Elaborate on this.
I will. What you're saying is that I compared a bald man to a gay person and the difference of the discrimination that they face. Who's to say that when I'm called a baldy bastard, it doesn't sting as much as you being called a queer? Who's to say that? That's subjective. That's up for me to feel that emotion. I can walk into a situation where I'm being bullied by idiots, by fucking assholes. And what I'm trying to explain is your hurt is no more than my hurt. We both hurt the exact same. And when we can communicate that with each other, then we understand. We understand.
I wonder, has anyone not gotten... I'm sure it has happened because except it's every rule. But has someone not gotten the job because they're bald?
No, never. I wouldn't have thought so.
I wonder, has someone not had access to healthcare because they're bald?
No.
I wonder, has somebody not been allowed to marry someone because they're bald?
No, absolutely not.
So then what are you talking about then?
Okay. I should
draw
seriously. A parallel. I should draw a parallel.
No, your parallel is everyone can get hurt, and absolutely everyone can feel uncomfortable.
People being bullies on the street.
Have you felt unsafe because you're bald?
No, never.
Yeah, okay.
No, but I felt unsafe being a heterosexual white guy. Yeah.
Okay, when?
When there's a bunch of guys walking down the street towards me and I'm the only one, and they start being dickheads towards me.
So that's a heterosexual problem.
Yeah, but problems are still problems, regardless of whether you're... See, this...
one's saying here that problems aren't problems, Aiden. But the problem is, at the start of this argument, you tried to compare...
No, I didn't. I asked the question.
You did.
No,
or
I
you've
didn't.
much just said a few minutes ago, hurt for hurt. You're trying to compare homophobia as a generalised issue.
I'm trying to compare...
And I'm saying I don't agree with that.
No. For you to understand, whether you agree with it or not, that the hurt that I feel, it doesn't matter. Look, it doesn't have to necessarily mean that I'm bald. I faced massive discrimination in my life, huge discrimination. I moved down to Westmead when I was 17 years of age, and just because I had this fucking accent, I didn't get jobs. I was called a scumbag. I got banned from driving for 3 years. My name put in the newspaper and £1,000 of a fine because the guard didn't like that I was a Dublin person. And it turned out years later that he should have never charged me with any of the crimes. It was driving without insurance on private property.
What has any of this got to do with homophobia?
I'll tell you why. Because he discriminated against me because of my goddamn accent, something that I could not help. I didn't choose this accent.
How did that make you feel?
Awful.
Really? And tell me exactly how it made you feel. How did it make you feel?
Well, it made me feel £1,000 less out of my pocket. My name was published in the newspaper, and I couldn't work in my job in Dublin for over 3 years because I didn't have transport up and down. He discriminated against me because he told me I was a Dublin scumbag.
I feel like that almost every day.
And that's what I felt like
almost every day.
Until I went, enough. And this is the message.
And what do you think the gays have done?
And exactly. And I'm trying to communicate that message with you, Dan, because you said to me that you feel discriminated about getting these people. I know that you're a much stronger person than that. And I've learned to press... No, you are. I've learned to press that delete switch. Some asshole says something that is horrible to me. Delete. I'm out of there. I'm not going to pay attention to what they say. The only person who can judge you is you. You know how well you're doing today. Are you doing better than you were doing yesterday?
That has nothing to do with... That's an individual thing on me. And it does not have anything to do with the wider range of LGBTQ issues.
And there's issues outside of the LGBT.
There absolutely is. There's issues
and
everywhere.
And can I not discuss those issues?
But that's not worth the conversation that we're having.
But can I not compare your issues to mine? Can I, without us ending up killing each other, can I not turn around and say to you, Dan, I have faced this discrimination in my life because I had a Dublin accent? Can I not say that?
Yes, of course you can.
Okay.
And I just agreed with you. I asked you, how did it make you feel? I said, I feel like that every day.
Shit, yeah.
So I get it.
Exactly, and I get what you're going through. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is because I'm asking you and all of the...
But I don't think you're asking me, Anthony.
I know I am.
I'm just trying to win an argument.
No, I'm asking...
You're trying to dictate an argument here.
I
I've
swear
seen you
to God
before.
I'm not. It's one of those situations where I'm not.
No, I'm not buying it. I'm actually not buying it.
Okay.
I'm not buying it. I think that you put on your scumbag whatever cap and you're trying to battle me on this. I really do. That's what it sounds like to me.
And this is where the miscommunication part comes in.
Then you're not communicating properly.
Okay, well, let me try and communicate in another way. There was I was on air one night on FM 104, long time ago. It was about 8 years ago. And there was a guy who came on, when he was 13 years of age, he was raped by a scout leader. Mm-hmm. And he came on air and he told his story. And while I was sitting there listening to the story and going, fucking hell, I'd love to get this, not him, but the guy who done it to him, blow his fucking brains out, what a piece of shit, ruining this man's life, so on and so forth. And then he started telling the story about how it ruined his relationships. He no longer has a relationship with his child and blah, 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 blah. And they rang me up and they said, Aiden, can you go on air and, you know, talk to this guy? Everybody's going, oh, lovey-dovey, you have to come up with a counter argument and say, move on with your life. So I did. And I went on and I had the counter argument. I said, look, bud, that scumbag done one thing to you years ago. Can you please, for your sake, don't be using the fact that you were raped years ago as an excuse for your entire life to be a mess. You were the person in control of your life. Put your life together. And everybody called me all the names under the sun until one woman came on air and she said to me, I was raped repeatedly by my father. She said, but to this day, I will not let that bastard affect what happened to me.
So you're saying I shouldn't let society affect me? Is what you're saying?
Yes.
But Aidan, that's bullshit, and I'll tell you why it's bullshit. Because that is an isolated incident with her father raping her, and that man got ran. Absolutely. True counselling and therapy, they should. Yeah. They don't go to the Midlands Regional Hospital and get raped. They don't fucking go to the cinema and get raped. Well, that happens. This is not, people do, I'm sure. But I'm saying society is different. LGBTQ issues, black rights issues, women's issues are a society level. Being raped by your father is an isolated incident for individuals. And that's the difference. And that's what you try to always bring in. You had an answer for that. Sorry?
You said you wanker. You had an answer for that.
Yeah, that's it. You're trying to take isolated incidents that are individual problems, not a bigger picture issue. What happened to those people is fucking awful, and yes, move on from it. Don't be a victim to that. Absolutely, yes. Do not. But that person is not walking to the shop and getting a lollipop and being raped by the person of the cash in front of everyone. Mm-hmm. People do get raped in the streets, but I'm saying you don't walk into a conference in the Mullingar Park Hotel and be raped in front of everybody and everyone just stands there. So what you're saying is yours is a constant
issue.
Mine is a societal problem, a society issue, which is different to individual issues. An asshole calling me a queer on a train, he's a wanker, he's a piece of shit. But
and do you brush that off?
Of course I brush it off, because he's a piece of shite. So
which cares? Part of the societal issue?
I'll tell you what the societal issue is. The Fla last week had not one gay performer or one gay thing for anyone.
Okay.
That's a societal issue. One person at the FA calling me a queer or a faggot is not a societal, it's an individual issue.
The gay community be blamed on that, or is that the heterosexual FLA committee?
That would be the fact that the FLA were heavily involved with the Church of Mullingar, and they had the bishop at the front row of it, and that's a bigger societal issue that leads into the Catholic Church's feelings and all that kind of stuff. That's a societal issue. Okay. What individuals do to each other is unfair. The individual who made fun of you for being bald is not right, he's an asshole. But society is not telling you, you're, as in the rules and regulations of the world, is not telling you you're lesser for being bald.
So what do you think it's going to take to change that? I mean, we can't all automatically wake up tomorrow morning and go, we all agree with Dan, so we need to do that. No
education. Me talking about this, trans people having their moment on telly. Yes. Oh, my pride. But we're doing it though, Aiden.
Okay, so and you know, Jesus, what topic was it? I'm trying to remember now. It was unbelievably fucking...
My levels probably went through the roof there because I got very loud.
No, it's fine. We can go edit some of it out anyway. Fuck, I forget where I was going with this. And look,
it's better that you do, and we're just going to drop it now, and we're going to put Sideshow Bob onto the counter, and we're going to come back now and be friends. Sideshow Bob? What if you call yourself on radio? No, it's a fucking weird
Scumbag Steve.
Yeah, let's just put Scumbag Steve, because Scumbag Steve to walk back into the room, Aiden.
Let's put a pin in it then. Yeah. I don't like to end arguments not ending an argument.
But I'd rather end that, because we're coming up on time in about 15 minutes. I'd rather end it on something, because to be fair,
exactly, and
I've said it before, and you're not going to give me an excuse for it. Sometimes you put on that Scumbag Steve hat, and you didn't have it for the first hour. You went into the room, guys, by the way, on the break, and said, I have something I wanted to bring you up and call you up on. And what happened? Scumbag Steve's hat came on, and Scumbag Steve...
No, I still haven't done it. It was about our childhood.
Oh, right, okay. Well,
yeah, no, I haven't done that yet.
Jesus Christ. But I'm just saying that the last 40 minutes were very...
Oh, and actually, I do remember now what it was that I wanted to talk about to you before. It was to do with childhood and how the impact of what your parents and your peers that have an effect on your life. So you know me well enough, and I think our listeners know me well enough that
I don't think I know you.
I'm not a terribly emotional person. But when I do have emotions, when I let that door open even a little crack, they spill in, and it's like I just can't handle that. That's why I delete the emotions out of there. About 6 to 8 months ago, somebody I'm very close to, they noticed how closed off I was with my emotions.
Right.
And they said to me, Aiden, I've noticed what you're doing in certain situations, and it's all making sense. Sorry, Dan, it's making sense in my head because I know the situations, and I have to try and explain this without explaining the situation. But they said to me, you can open up and let people in your life a little bit more. You're very reserved, you're very closed off, you have this wall built up, and I have an excellent wall built up. I mean, it's a beautiful wall. If it wasn't for depression, it'd be the best wall ever. It really
I don't think
would.
you do, though, Aiden.
No, I do.
I don't know. You think you do. You do not.
No, I do.
No, you don't. And you think you have this wall, but everyone can see that you're vulnerable. Everybody can see that you don't have it together. Everyone can see that there's these emotions. You just don't know what to do with them yourself. I can tell you're emotional probably all the time. You're just shutting that button off. It's not a wall.
Exactly.
But the wall is showing people they're not emotional and all that kind of... I see...
But nobody sees it. Dan, you're a bit more intuitive than most people.
You think nobody sees it.
Trust me, I know most people in my life. I know them all, actually. Not most of them. I know everybody involved in my life.
Or are they just not good people and choosing to ignore it?
Probably. I don't know.
I think everyone sees it.
But somebody had said to me, drop those barriers down. Allow people into your life. And the reason why I had those barriers up is a long story. I don't trust people full stop because people let you down and they're assholes and they're only waiting to pounce on you. People love to see a villain fall, but they love to even see a hero fall even more. That's what people are like. They're assholes. Like I said, no matter where you go, there's an asshole everywhere. I met 2 people out on the street that I had allowed into my life.
Okay.
And they were...
So as in previously, this is you...
This is about 6 months ago.
Okay.
And... how am I going to explain this? Somebody told me to let these people in. When I let them in, it backfired. Like what I said would happen did happen, and I was right to know that you don't allow people into your life without completely...
Are you lonely, Aiden?
I wouldn't say I'm lonely,
really,
but this is not bad.
Okay.
But I don't trust you, Dan. I love you to bits, man. I love you to bits.
Okay,
but I don't trust you.
You don't trust me. Okay.
Yes, but I love Daniela. I don't trust her. I love my mother. I don't trust her. Because most people in my life who I've trusted and I've loved have let me down big time. And I don't mean small amounts.
No, I would say that I'm the same as well. I have, that's clearly become a bigger issue for you though, that where you don't trust anybody.
But I was
then how are you going to change that? But you've been proven right, probably more times you've been proven wrong.
Yeah, so what do you do in a situation like that?
That's something you need to address, and that's something you need to break down and discuss. Why don't I trust people? What triggers me to make me think people are untrustworthy? What do they do to me that makes me, and also weigh it up, is it actually that bad a thing or not?
Yeah.
No, in that situation, don't get me wrong, I get it, you've been burned, you've been fucked over an awful lot, but just that you don't trust me. What have I done to you that you don't trust me over?
Nothing, that's the point.
So that's what I'm saying. So do you not think someone like me or someone like Daniela is someone you need to actually break down and go, why don't I trust them? That's bullshit. Maybe I should think this way.
Well, for 13 years of my relationship, when I was with my ex, we had a deal that we'd never go to bed in an argument, and you'd always say good morning and all that type of shit.
Yeah.
You know, and I think I learned a lesson very young, because I was 17 years of age when I got into a relationship with a 28-year-old. Yeah.
Okay, well, there's an awful lot of things
there.
there
was weird stuff happening there.
Yeah.
But every morning we'd wake up and we'd look at each other, kiss, hello, good morning. And she would always say the same thing to me, which was, I love you.
Okay.
And I believed her.
Right.
This is a person for 13 years, woke up every
morning. So you've been
morning
burned and you're hurt.
to say, I love you. And then all of a sudden, within a space of what seemed like an hour, done a complete U-turn and went, I hate you. Like, how does that happen? How can you love somebody and immediately hate them?
Sounds to me, though, if she was 28 with a younger person, it sounds like she was a narcissist.
Oh, yeah, no, she was...
And that's a total different kettle of fish to the person you are now. She's in your past. These people who are in your past, all these things are in your past. Yes, right now, someone could come into your world and completely fuck it up.
And no one's saying 6 months ago.
And that's 6, but that's still in your past. It doesn't mean that your life is any lesser because of them.
Oh no, it's hugely lesser. Trust me. Because
then how do you work on that then?
I don't know. I really don't.
How do you work on it?
I look, when I let somebody into my life.
Then, no, the question is, then you're saying you're not letting people in emotionally and you have this wall up, but other than that, you let people into your life all the fucking time.
I let them in, and then they just do what they do, and they
exactly. But then that's my question for you is, you maybe shut off emotionally, but you're not shut off physically. So why do you let them in at all? Mm-hmm. Why isn't the door closed in the studio? Why is it basically a free for all in here?
Like
and it is a free for all.
Like I said at the start, in spite. This is what I'm trying to communicate.
So you let people come in and spite. Do everything for them out of spite. That's really
until
weird.
Somebody does something nice for me then.
Okay.
Until somebody turns around and says, Aiden, you know what, you're doing a fucking amazing job. You know, blah blah blah. Let's us do something for you instead of you.
That's been said to you a lot, and people have tried to do that from what I can see.
No, but I mean, literally taking the situation out of my hands.
I would say that you're quite stubborn and difficult to deal with sometimes.
Really?
I think that when people try to do nice things for you, you rebel against it. And it probably is out of spite,
defense
but also
mechanism.
because you don't feel worthy enough to let that in.
Yeah, no, I'd say that as a defense mechanism.
A defense mechanism, but then like, I would also just say you don't feel good enough either.
No, but me and you have the exact same problem.
Yeah.
We don't feel good enough for the appreciation that we get for the tasks,
absolutely, yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah, you know, I get that.
People walk in here and they go, it's amazing.
But then I don't let people walk in. And I have, and I'm not going to sit here and be critical of you in that sense, but I would say that you, to an extreme, let people walk in and do whatever. I do it. Believe me, I do it, people. I do it. But I'm a Cancer. I have a cut-off point.
Okay.
I wouldn't say you do. Case in point.
Yeah, no, my cut-off point is my sign.
Your cut-off point is a really dramatic ending.
Yeah.
And that's on you though, Aiden. That's not on them.
Is it though?
That is on you because you let it get to that point.
So
I have in the past. I don't think my life is as exciting enough to get it to a bit. But I would say that you let it go to the point of where the only end is an atom bomb.
You're right. No, you're right. 100%.
And I'd say that's on you more so than the asshole. Well, the asshole is doing the same things all the time.
I don't know whether it's on me as much as and this is not me shifting the blame, because on one hand I have people saying to me, Aiden, allow these people into your life, trust people, you know, blah 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 blah, and I do these things.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, then other people are saying to me, don't allow these people in your life, don't trust anybody. And I'm like, who do I listen to?
Well, you know what you need to do then? You need to assess the situation independently from the people on both sides and be like, what is the right thing here?
Yeah, but see, I'm too
stupid. So you need to take both sides out of it. You need to take the do this and do that away from it. You need to look at the situation logically. What's happening here? X, Y, Z, J, K is happening here. What could potentially happen to me in this? Don't listen to that person's opinion. Take your own opinion on the situation and come to your own conclusions. That's what you need to do there.
Yeah, but then I come across as a selfish dick.
No, you think you come across as a selfish dick.
See, I think I've made way too many steps to try and...
Well, you've created standards for yourself that are obviously unrealistic.
Oh, so unrealistic.
Yeah,
like
you've obviously created big standards that are very unrealistic to yourself. And that's something that you're going to have to work on. You're going to have to, as you mentioned earlier, I'm saying I'm actively and inactively trying to change over the last 12 months. I've made boundaries. I've cut off things. And believe me, Aiden, it's a fucking struggle. And
are you on autopilot? Or have you been?
I have been. I wouldn't say at the moment I'm I say at the moment I'm very down, very like miserable, because my life has slowed down so much after Pride. There's no job on the horizon. There's no work. It's hard to get out of bed every day. It's hard to motivate myself walking into town, walking around town, walking home.
So you are depressed?
Oh yeah, I suffer depression very badly, which is something that people don't really respect about me, but I do.
Did you ever try and understand your depression? I know that sounds like a stupid question.
No, analyse where it comes from.
Yeah.
Yes, and I know exactly where it comes from. And it's 50-50. It's my fault and others' faults.
So do you understand what depression is in a general term?
I think depression is very complex. I think it can be hereditary. I think it can be situational. I think it can be environmental. There's many different reasons why depression can happen for someone.
Well, I've been depressed many times, many times. And I tried to understand depression. I tried to figure out what is depression. Why do you feel depressed? And I came up with this answer a long time ago. The night before, you wake up for your big day. You're saying, tomorrow morning I'm going to get up and I'm going to do X, Y, and I'm going to do Z, and my life is going to be better. And you wake up late and you go, fucker, I'll do it the following day. And then you have that subconscious voice in your brain constantly saying, put that cigarette out. You should not be smoking. Don't be eating that bad food. Don't be saying this to that person. And you're fighting with yourself 24/7. In your brain, you're constantly giving out to yourself. It's like having a nagging wife inside your brain saying, do this. And when you don't do them, you're not going to be rewarded by that system. Your system is going to say, you're a scumbag, you're an asshole, you're a loser, you didn't do anything. Depression is your own voice telling you how much of a fuck up you are. In my mind, that's what I think it is.
In mine, I think mine is I'm a creative, energetic person. I have nowhere to put that.
Okay.
And I think that just ends up going through my brain then, and overthinking and putting myself down, and I'm a piece of shit for not being XYZJK. That's how it develops in my head, I think. And then I think that's one side of it. And then I think the other side is situational. Balcony TV being cancelled, the TV show literally having
outside
they're the outside factors that have that have tapped into my depression. And look, it's a constant struggle every day. It is, and at the moment it's probably just exasperated because the fact that Pride was such a big thing, and I'm on the other end of it now. And there's trying to get the hindsight together. Do I go for year 2 is going to happen, but like, do I put the same effort in for year 2, or do I go get myself a fucking job? Do I look at it as, it could take 2 to 3 years before anything really decent comes out of this, but can I financially support myself on fuck all for 3 years? So I'm at a crossroads, and that is fed into this inner narrative that's causing the depression. And also I think that I'm a person who needs a routine. I think that's just something in me. Everyone needs. And when I lose my routine, things fall apart.
And are you in routine at the moment?
No, I'm not in routine. Like when I'm working.
So where are you now?
Where I am now is being awake, watching Netflix till 3 a.m, getting up. Not late, but I get up around 10:30, 11, mope around the house, go get a coffee, walk into town. I spread out my tasks over, that could all be done in 2 hours.
But
on one day in town.
You're
but it's pathetic proactiveness, Aiden.
Is it? I mean, there's most people who can't get off the couch. I have to go to the post office,
I have to go to Dunnes Stores, and I have to go to this shop. I'll go one place Monday, one place Tuesday, one place Wednesday. So that's my whole week. And then Thursday is, let's go drinking.
But that's still steps, isn't it?
It's still steps, but they're not, for a person, as I said, who has so much energy and so much creativity, it's not enough.
So what you're saying is your biggest problem is you. Your biggest problem is that inner voice that I was talking about, saying you need to be better.
Also, not knowing what to do as well. That's a big issue, and that's not. It's kind of like trying to find. For instance, I tried to find the pathway of getting into radio last week. So I was like, I have 8 episodes of a podcast.
Came to me then.
Before we go into this, whatever, to explain myself, and this is other examples. I'm trying to get into fashion, or trying to get into theatre. Where you Google things, you make a few phone calls, you don't fucking find an actual pathway into stuff.
No.
I looked to audition for something this week, right, that's happening, and I, for love nor money, spent hours on the fucking computer texting people as well, and could not get a straight answer how. And that's been a big issue with me as well, not knowing how to progress and go. The same way I said Mullingar Pride was such a drop off because I planned this whole big festival, there's a big stage, a big set, there's a EastEnders star, there's all that stuff. Where do I go to keep continuing doing this? Go on Indeed.com and look for an event job, and they're not there. So how do I go and tell the right person that I did this? So that's an issue that I face a lot, and that's probably just education.
Would you not consider taking it into your own hands and going? And one of the reasons, not the main reason, but one of the reasons why I done this podcast when I started off in a bedroom, for Christ's sake, was that I've been in media for years, and I'm a media person, but nobody's willing, because of the type of person, and you've noticed it, you've said it many times tonight, I can be a dickhead and I can be rude and arrogant or whatever it may be. I'll never get a job on radio or TV because of that personality.
Yeah.
And when I figured that out, I went, well then, if nobody's going to ever accept me.
But I did take it into my own hands though. What did I do? I did a podcast. I just don't know how to take it to the next level, and that's where the break point is.
Do, Dan.
I don't. And you're going to
not giving yourself credit.
How?
Are you broke?
Yes, I am broke.
You're not fucking homeless, Dan.
No, I'm not homeless. I'm talking. Taking it to the next level is just.
Have you got a webcam? Have you got a microphone?
No, I don't. I don't have a microphone.
I have webcams and microphones. Stop your excuses now.
Well, that's different. That's you have them. I don't.
Okay, and you have a podcast studio here. You could use 7 nights a fucking week.
Yeah, but I don't want to. I don't think I want to be a podcaster as a producer and doing it all and stuff like that. I don't think I want that.
Okay, so what is it that you want? Have you figured out in your life what you want yet? Thanks.
Sorry, just to give you a lighter.
Not that we're smoking in the studio, we're just lighting candles.
Yes. Yes, probably not. I think it's a very wide variety of what I want.
Do you?
I just want to
actually
create things, but not in the don't say you can create a podcast. That's not the type of creation that I want to do, if that makes any sense.
Okay.
Maybe I want to run with the Domino character more. Maybe I want to do clubs every weekend, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I look at the media industry and the performing industry as a very fast-paced, exciting industry. And I do look at it that. It's thinking on your mind, or thinking on your toes.
It's also so broad.
But that's what I think. That's why I love it. Do you know, I don't necessarily want to be boxed into one section of it.
So you don't want to be a host?
No, maybe I want to have a podcast, but also be on TV for 6 episodes a year and do my shows around the UK and Ireland. You know, maybe that's what I want. Okay. I don't want to just be a club performer or just be a podcaster. I want, who's a good example of it? Who does fucking
that's a great question. Who is a great example of that? Elon Musk?
I don't know why that's not lighting. No, not Elon Musk. Holly Willoughby from This Morning. She also does Dancing with the Stars. She also has a lifestyle brand. Do you know, she does all that stuff. Who else is a big example of it? Let me think of a really, really good. RuPaul has his TV show. He also has a podcast with Michelle Visage. He has a music career. He does all that. He has his toes in everything, so he can never get fully bored. When one isn't stimulating enough, he can pop back into the podcast world or pop back into this world. There you go. That's what I'm kind of thinking of.
That is one of the most difficult things you can aspire to, Dan.
I know. I absolutely know.
You know, you look at a nurse, a doctor, a mechanic, they specialise in one area.
I know.
That's their expertise. You, unfortunately, you're just
as
inquisitive.
I'm not. No, because I don't agree with that, because they are essentially themselves on each of them. They're not different on anyone. It's just they bring that to different forums all the time.
Yes, but most people want to be a fashion designer or a doctor or this. Mm-hmm. You want to be it all.
Maybe I do, yeah.
No, you do. It's absolutely you. I'm the exact same way. I want to be it all. I want to star in a movie. I want to be a singer. I want to do this. I want to do that.
Yeah.
You know, but we can't have it all.
But when you have a big enough profile, you can.
But can you?
Yeah, you mightn't be able to do it well, but when you have a big enough, high enough profile, you absolutely can.
Okay, so and that's what you're doing right now. You're building your profile. As I know you look at
successfully.
No, fuck that, Dan. The LGBT podcast that you done. Don't tell me that wasn't a success. Even if only 10 people listened to it, Dan, that's a success.
Oh no, it was done very well. It was done very well. Over the phone.
You're getting a fucking call on here.
I'd say they're telling us that time is up.
Actually, hold on. What the hell is wrong with this? Can you hear me? Yeah. I'm just in a...
Did you see that letter I sent over to you?
I did, yes, I did. But can I give you a ring back in 5 minutes? I'm just...
take your time. You can ring me back later on.
Yeah, I'm just on the podcast here.
Alright, come on. Ring back
All right,
later
just a
on.
bit. All right, God bless. Love you. Bye.
That's what happened there. We have to finish up anyway because we've run over time.
Yeah, we'll cut in as if we didn't end that
way.
What were we even talking about? My father has a brain tumour.
Oh.
Yeah,
God,
he only found out yesterday.
Sorry about that.
Yeah,
well, look, it was great, the chat.
Actually, no, where did we end up?
We left it off at me wanting everything.
Oh, yeah,
and having nothing.
So, why don't you do what you've been doing, which is chiseling away? You've been small chips. You know as well as I do. Do you know, I had a 13-year-old, 12-year-old come up to me, and he said to me, I asked him what he wanted to do. And he said, I want to be rich. I want to be, you know, I want a yacht and I want this and I want that. And I looked at him and I said, what do you think comes with that? He said, what do you mean? I said, huge responsibility. Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, they have no lives. They have zero lives.
No, they don't.
They're constantly
they're a total different kettle of fish.
Absolutely.
They're insane.
But they're in a different category than all of us.
Oh, they are. They're a billionaire category. It's
they
a totally
work
different world.
24/7. They have no lives. They may have the money.
But you know what I want to be, actually, getting into that? I'm sorry to interrupt you again.
No.
I just want to be busy. And I love being busy. I actually love getting up at 5 a.m, going for a run, going having my breakfast, getting to work, not getting home till 5 o'clock, going to what I used to do, panto rehearsals, and going for dinner with a friend, home, bed, repeat. I love being on the go all the time. And that's something that hasn't happened for me because of my relationship, because of my career, for a long time. I just like being on the go all the time.
Well, can you not create your own job? I mean, you could work on it, Dan.
No, you can, but money is a big thing in life, Aiden. Money's a big... When you can't reach your bills because and I don't have the facilities behind me to be able to just go off and do that.
So what is it you need?
I don't know what I need to... I need to really focus and polish myself.
Have you actually sat down in your bedroom and went, right, what is it I need to...
I have a fucking vision board, Aiden. I've done this.
You have a vision board?
I have a vision board. I have plans on laptops. You've seen my organisational skills. I just find that I don't know, there's a block, whether it be I don't know the right people or I haven't spoken to the right people yet on how to bring it to the next. Like if someone has said to me tomorrow, here is €20,000, go do the Domino show around the country, I wouldn't know where to start.
Okay.
Do you know that kind of way? Or if someone said, here's 100k, create a television show, I wouldn't even know where to go to get the proper camera and sound people to produce and hold. Do you know? Does that make sense? Maybe it's because there's certain aspects of me that I'm not good at or wouldn't know about. I'm probably more of a do a reality show and walk into these situations.
You need a support team.
That's it. That's what I need. That's honest, and that sounds very diva-ish, but that's what I need. Is a support
but I think
team.
everybody who wants to reach a goal or
because I'm not like, I would say you're a person who can do the hosting, do the technical stuff, do the marketing. I can't, and that's not on me. I'm probably could. I've learned. I did it for Pride, but there was still gaps of Pride. The social media wasn't the best. Do you know, marketing was, because they're low points where my talents get lost, and that there's nothing wrong with not being good at certain things. You can't be good at everything.
No, you can't.
You can't.
But here's the thing, Dan. If you want to be good at something, you must fill in them gaps yourself.
I know.
Because like we discussed earlier, you cannot depend on people. This is the reason why I don't trust people generally.
Even when you hire them.
You know, it's great when you have the money. It's great. You can just throw it at them and go, dance for me, bitch. You know, just do what I'm telling you to do. You need to get a good support system behind you where you can promote your way of being, just being Dan.
Yeah. It's become very intense.
That sounds like a TV show, just being Dan.
Well, that'd make a great TV show because we screwed in the head.
Tonight I'm having chicken curry. Would you eat chicken curry with a knife and fork? I've seen it.
I eat with a fork.
Not a knife.
Oh, I think when I get breast chicken curry, I'd have a knife.
Oh.
To cut up the breast.
Yeah, but you don't actually get a full.
And on that note, that has been this week's one.
That was. We'll end on chicken curry being cut up with. So yes, on that note, we will end. And what we will do is we will see you next week. I'm going to upload this podcast tonight, so it's not like people are listening to it live now.
Okay. Well, look, listen. I hope everyone likes it.
Yeah, and if you don't, go fuck yourselves. It's not our problem that you don't like our conversation. It's yours.
That's it.
So we will see you next week, hopefully at 8 o'clock on Wednesday night.
Hopefully we'll have
that's
people
if
here.
everybody decides to fucking come. We won't have Mr. Candles. He's away for 3 weeks in Italy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Richie should be back.
Okay.
Shamey the Bear, God only knows. I'm sure he'll hear this part of it. Shamey, I'm talking directly to you right now. Ring me a prick.
Come back to us. No problem.
But Dan, genuinely, it was a pleasure. It's a privilege.
No bother. You're very
to sit
welcome.
here and get you angry and have you lose your voice and scream and peak.
No, you're
inside.
fine. Honestly, it was grand. I enjoyed it. It was therapeutic, I suppose.
It's not bad, is it?
No, it's not bad. I should do more one-on-ones with people. Who's next?
That's what I'm doing.
Okay.
I was supposed to do Shamey the Bear. These type of situations are really, really good. But I do think that if let's say you sat over this side of the room and I put Richie over there, you would do the conversation would equally flow.
Yeah, one-on-ones are easier, but most podcasts are two people.
They are.
Yeah.
And you often you often wonder how people can continue on that long form conversation. We've just done it for 2 hours. We're talking shit for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Man.
Interesting people do.
Do you think people are interested in what we're talking about?
I would say there would be, yeah.
If you had to recap, can you remember anything that was...
I do remember it all.
Would you?
I do, yeah. I remember all of it.
Yeah, see, that's my problem. I won't remember it until tomorrow.
Until when you listen to it again.
Exactly.
Stop. Well, look, that's it, guys.
Yes, we'll
Supernatural
talk to you next
Dogshit on Facebook, Instagram, and supernaturaldogshit.com, and
Podbean,
and Spotify. Good night.
Yeah, bye.